Hey everybody, welcome to the Neville GAZSP Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bryguy, 7571 on Reddit. With me as always is my good buddy Anders.
What's up, guys?
How you doing? So we're trying something different tonight. We are recording in the same room at my place because Anders has a bunch of house guests and crazy stuff, and it's quiet over here, but we've never done this face-to-face. It's kind of weird looking at him as I'm saying stuff. I keep looking down.
Yeah,
I'm used to looking at my phone. So.
Normally we record and we're both on the phone and, doing stuff and in separate places. And even though, we've been friends and see each other in person all the time, normally we don't record face-to-face. Yeah. So this is the first time we're trying this, so it's probably going to be a different flow than what you guys are used to. But I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah. And we warmed up ahead of time. We had a nice long talk about Jesus and God and all the wonderful things that are going on in our lives, and it was really great. So,
and Bryant was even sharing with me a couple great success stories of people are going through, which is always encouraging as well. So.
Yeah, we've had a lot of really great success stories, not just from clients, but from people on the sub that have just been following along. And I got to tell you, that makes me really happy. Just in the last couple of days, we had 2 or 3 people come back with some really great money success stories. And one person in the matter of a day or two, and another literally the next day. And she got, I think, 7,000 rupees in 1 day or 2 days. Yeah, I think it all happened in 1 day. So that was great. So yeah, lots of really good success stories. I love that we kind of are the one sub that always has some good ones in there. So I'm really proud of you guys too. And I just want to say thank you guys too for sharing those with us. And please keep sharing them, even if you think they're small, they're not. It's important and it helps you also and, gives others hope. So please keep sharing. So tonight I want to talk about something really important that I think a lot of people are missing. I know I joke around and I say these fucking YouTubers always have the ancient secret scroll that I found, and I found the one thing that's missing, and if you're not doing this, you're not going to get there. And then now I'm about to tell you guys, I think I figured one thing out we haven't talked a lot about yet that if you're not doing might be keeping you from having your SP. So Anders and I were talking, and I explained to him after going over some of the success stories and people we were going to reach out to do interviews with, I noticed in reading back their stories, they talked about self-concept and self-love, but in a way that I coach them, but sometimes forget to tell you guys on these podcasts. And so tonight we're going to talk about stories. We're going to talk about what happens when your self-love is good and you're loving yourself, you're believing God's going to make it happen, and they're still not showing up. And it's crazy because you're getting asked out like crazy. Girlfriends from 5th grade are calling you. Like I had a girl from 5th grade call and tell me she wrote a poem about me, and she sends me this really nice, sweet poem, and it reminds me of what a great guy I used to be when I was a kid. And, the girl I had my first kiss with reached out to me, and it was nuts. So I realized that my self-love was clearly good, but I still had stories about her, but not even just that, about love. The girls that called me all tended to be ones that it ended in a nice way. And I didn't have a bad story about love yet from them. These were all, like I said, 5th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, even high school. I didn't have my first serious relationship until I was about 1999, so I don't know, like early 20s. And I really didn't want to. All through high school and college, played sports, girls kind of came along with that, and I was in no rush to settle down. So, what happened was I finally got my heart broken, and when I did, I developed this crazy story about love. This is why I never wanted to get in a relationship. Man, I didn't know it could hurt this bad. And what we forget too as human beings, our brains try to protect us. So that other voice that you're fighting a lot of times is your fight or flight, and it's telling you, okay, you're falling in love, but remember what happened with Joe. Remember what happened with, whoever, Sarah, whatever. Remember what happened with so-and-so.
Danger lights going.
Yeah, danger lights go. Now, one of the reasons I'm glad we have Anders here tonight is because I was very much like, danger, danger. But I had a really interesting conversation with Anders early on in our friendship. Or was that one of, I don't even know if you remember this, but we were at one of your parties, and it was, the sun was coming up, we were just talking about, I think a breakup I just had, and you were talking to this girl, and you said, it's great, but she's gonna break my heart. And I was like, then why date her? And you're like, 'cause it's gonna be great until then. And you talked about how you actually had really good stories about the girls you dated, and you kind of looked at it different than I did. I looked at it as like, I'm going to figure out everything I don't want, and you were like, oh, I'm going to be able to figure out everything I do want based on each one of these girls. So why don't you kind of share that, if you remember, what you remember about that?
Yeah, no, that's interesting, because I don't have a lot of negative stories about the women I dated. I mean, there was one girl I dated, and I feel a little bad for her, because she really liked me, but she was like a little crazy and insecure, and then it didn't help that, like, in my heart I didn't really like her that much. Yeah. And so that was kind of rough, and so I did end up like breaking off with her, and I feel bad about that, and she was definitely a little like crazy, but in general, like, yeah, we don't need to go there.
In fairness, Anders would throw these parties, and there was a group within the group of us, and there were times I think we would talk after the parties and realize that a couple of us had even hooked up with some of the, like, I remember this group of, I shouldn't say it. Anyway, there's a certain group of girls from a certain country that would come to these parties all the time. And, but yeah, but you were, the thing is, we would talk sometimes about it, and then other times, like, I was quiet. I know you would always be like, where'd Anders go? And it was off to see some girl, our other friend, Sweet Tea, same way.
Yeah, well, he was a pro at that.
Yeah.
But I think, I think, I didn't have those same negative stories. Now, I do have my own negative stories, because it's like, I think I had positive stories and negative stories. So I could look at my family and I could see, okay, well, here's some people. This seems like what I know, from what all I know. I mean, what do I know? But from what I knew, like, these seem like positive relationships. And then I had some other things where I'm like, okay, these sort of seem like negative relationships, ended in divorce or whatever. And so, I kind of felt like I had both. So I felt like there was some room for hope, but I was also, skittish and scared, because it's like, and it's hard, and so, yeah, it is hard, and just going through relationships. And I think there's just a lot of stuff and a lot of insecurity people deal with, and things they do to make their relationships harder with each other. But I think that's also part of my belief, like, when people really get the stuff we're talking about on this podcast, and their significant other gets it, then you guys can, like, really be friends and work together as a team and be real partners to each other, rather than being like codependent or putting all those conditions on one another. Yeah. That lead to a very conditional love that leads to animosity, anger, and sometimes even hatred for each other. Yeah, because I think a lot of times what happens is people have a tendency, or when things are going wrong, a lot of times I think the tendency for why things go wrong is because people view the other person as their source. And sometimes it's the guy, sometimes it's the girl. I mean, I might be a little biased. I feel like often it's the girl, but I've seen examples where it's the guy. It can be that way too, and or at least the girl could feel that way. And then, but yeah, if you're treating that other person as your source of your happiness, and they don't show up like the way you want them to, then that can be like really difficult. Or you can like blame all your problems on them, or you can say like anything kind of goes wrong. Or sometimes too, I've seen that talking to people where it's like something goes wrong, and it's like they kind of like some people, I guess, blame God for stuff, things don't go wrong, and sometimes people blame themselves, but sometimes people blame their spouse, even though it's like obviously like actually their spouse had nothing to do with it, but somehow it was the spouse's job to prevent anything bad from happening to that person, or anything that person didn't want or anticipate or expect. And so and because they're treating the spouse like they're their source. And so that's kind of create like a negative a situation. But when you guys are both, realizing your own imagination and God is your source, and you're, cut out the mental arguing and self-talk with each other, then it can be like really beautiful. So I think I've been like blessed that way. So I see it as, but it's, there's always growth in these things.
So that was great, because you're going to see the opposite with me. So Anders always had these really great, loving relationships, whereas I always had these very dramatic relationships. From the time I was young, I love my dad. He's a great guy, and he's a very different man now than he was when he was younger, and even more so than he was really young when he was giving me this advice. But from the time I was little, my dad always taught me there's plenty of women, never worry about just one. And if it gets too serious, you're too young, get out. So I lived that till my late 20s. And all through high school, all through college, I never wanted to date girls at my school because I didn't want rumors. So, and I was having a blast, and everyone still thought I was a nice guy. They didn't hear, going to 2 or 3 different proms and homecomings, and, and then I finally met somebody, and I fell in love, deeply in love with her. And it was at a very good time in my life. I had hurt my knee playing football, and I put on a bunch of weight, and I just lost it all. And I had like my new body back, and I was getting my self-confidence back. And she really helped me with that and taught me about, she was the first one to not see me as this womanizing kind of, fuck boy. And I felt really good about myself being with her. And I think I fell into the trap thinking that only she saw me that way. And without her, I was just going to be looked at as a fuckboy again. And so when her and I broke up, it really hurt. And I remember I lashed out at her when we broke up. And we'd never really gotten in a lot of arguments. She was a little cuckoo also. And, she liked to show me that she knew karate sometimes when she would get mad at me and stuff. And, so it was very dramatic. And we broke up, and I just I remember I think of Gladiator where he's like, unleash hell. I was like, oh, you motherfucking, you put me through all this shit, and da-da-da-da. And you're, and she was like, whoa. And I think that was the start of Angry Bryant too, at the same time, because I was really hurt, and it reminded me of when I was younger and I was bullied, and my tactic when I got older was hurt the bully more than the bully hurt you. Mm-hmm. I had a very quick tongue, and I realized I could embarrass people really quickly and upset them and make them just run. And I got bigger too, so I had that as well. But most of the time I like to hurt people with words. I would always take it too far. You try to stab me, I try to slash your throat. And I would even tell girlfriends, I don't handle that stuff well. If I think you're going to hurt me, I get a little vicious. I'll say shit about your mom or whatever, And, so I kind of had this pattern of, with me, love is dangerous. Everyone leaves. And, unless I don't care, if I do care, they're going to leave. That became my story. When I didn't care, when I was in control of it, everyone stayed. If they tried to break up with me, I'd break up with them first, and they'd be like, oh. But I realized when you really fell in love, or when I fell in love, I felt like I wasn't in control, and at any moment they could leave, and that would scare the shit out of me. And I didn't react well to it. And so I'm going to read you guys something really quick. It was a story from, I got to find her name. It is from Ruby Truelove. She was one of our really big success stories on the sub. When she called me, she was in a really bad place. And she was very freaked out. And I remember when I saw her, I think it was on the call or her picture in her profile, I was like, wow, beautiful girl, very well spoken, very well educated, had a career, not a job, definite wifey material. And I couldn't understand, why she was so worried. And she almost quit before we even started. And I was like, look, I can't coach you like this. I'll send you your money back. And thank God we both had a talk on the phone and calmed everything down, because she really kicks some ass. So I'll just read you something really quick. She talks about, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys can check it out. The title of this success story is Ruby True Love, My Ex Back Success. And she has other follow-ups. But she says, for the first 2 to 3 weeks, I completely focused on myself and self-concept and believing I am the source of everything going on in my life. A lot of you guys have gotten to that place. You've become your source. You're loving yourself. You're taking accountability. You have forgiven yourself. You've realized you were the creator of the story, so it's your fault. But what I want to talk about is what she did next. And I don't know why I haven't brought this up before, but so one of the things is when you have all that and everybody else is showing up, if your person's not showing up, it's because you still have a story about either love and you in love or you and your person. So she says after that, after about 3 weeks, I felt better and confident within myself. Then I decided to work on my beliefs about him and our relationship. I went back on a strict mental diet and sats before bed. About 2 weeks after, he reached out. Now, here's the other thing that she did right. A lot of you guys, as soon as they reach out, you're still desperate, so you jump on it.
Right.
Yeah. So she said, he reached out, although not entirely as I imagined. And we had talked about this. If it's not what you want, don't answer it. They'll actually start chasing you if you don't. So I would reply politely and ignore the current him. I would advise not even to reply. And they really start chasing you. And ignored the current him I was being shown. A week later, he asked for a date, told me how stupid he'd been and how much of an idiot he is. And trust me, guys, he was. And that he loves me, etc. It actually freaked me out at one point, as on one evening, he kept repeating all my affirmations and lovely things I'd said to myself. She really went after her story. She went after her story about love. She went after her story about her relationship with him and how she brought those stories into the relationship with him.
What's really struck me too was, I know did she say she ignored the current him, or did you say?
Yeah, she said she ignored the what he wasn't giving her. She just would reply politely, but ignore that she wasn't getting the full him that she wanted yet.
So that's great. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're having these kinds of issues with people is, rather than getting angry or upset about it, like ignore the current him. And so she didn't make the current him her source too of her own happiness or how she was going to feel about herself that day, or if she wasn't going to let the current him ruin her day either and be her source. So instead if he wasn't showing up the way she wanted, she just ignored that and
went back into imagination.
She's believing for something better from him. And so I think that's really cool. And that really ties in with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I would advise you guys to go look at her other stories too, because they did some pretty incredible things. They got their house built that they wanted, their dream home, and I think there was some situation where they normally don't build in that area or something. They got that fixed, but they have and my daughter is super cute. And when she was a baby, I mean, I didn't think you could get any cuter, but this is probably the one kid that could give my kid a run for it. She sent me a picture of this baby, and she is beautiful, and they are happy and in love, and she has created a beautiful life for her and her family, and that little girl's got the perfect person to go to when she goes through her first heartbreak too. And that's something that I think all of us are proud of, is that we know if our kids go through it or when they go through it, we can help them out. And I kind of wish I had something like that. Like I said, I love my dad, but my dad's thing was look, I was grown up and taught date as much as possible so you know what you want, because both of my parents got married really early, really young, were in love for 45 years until my mom passed. But I think they had always kind of regretted not dating around more because they had a lot of attention from others. So I think they just wanted me to not go through that, and that's why they advised me on that. But from that, a lot of crazy stories came that I had to let go of. And again, she did what I would advise all of you to do. And she let go of the old version of him. She let go of the old version of their love story. She let go of her old ideas of love. Because in her mind, love could really hurt you, could really, she was panicked when she called. Absolutely panicked. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying that that's how strong she was, that she went from that to that success story in less than a month. I think it took her like 3 or 4 weeks tops, but I'm pretty sure she got there around the like she says, the 3 week mark. I don't know. It was really fast. I remember it was like around Thanksgiving when she called me, and they were moving in together at Christmas. And I remember the next Christmas, she reached out and let me know she was pregnant, and she did a follow-up story with you guys. And, she says in this rest of the success story, she kept going with it. A lot of you guys get your person and you stop, and then things fall apart again.
Right. That's the key thing. You have to keep going, because when the person comes back, then, and you lose your frame, you're going to start. Right. Actually, the frame in Hebrew is also means imagination, by the way. They're gonna start showing up differently, and then you're gonna start freaking out because you're making them your source, or their circumstances are your source, and then you're gonna start spiraling and wondering why things aren't working for you, blah 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 blah, and then definitely it happens. But but she's kept at it, and she's maintaining a positive. I bet she's not like mentally arguing with her husband all the time in her head.
No, I think what she did was very smart. She completely ignored the arguments. And guys, I know it is insane, because I remember times my wife would say things to me and I would completely forget, and she'd be like, "Oh, you don't remember this? You don't remember? We just talked about this." When we were separated, I swear to God, I could tell you every word of every conversation, every fight, every good conversation back for our entire relationship. I suddenly remembered everything. Why didn't I go get the lemons? Because I wanted to get the lemons for, like the Vince Vaughn movie, right? She's like, "I don't want you to get the lemons. I want you to get the lemons because you want to do it for me." And he's like, "Just tell me you want the fucking lemons. Just tell me you want lemons. I don't need to do it. I'll go get the fucking lemons if it means that much to you." Those were the kind of fights we would have. And, it's just funny, because one of the things is when you get good at this too, you can really read people. A lot of my clients, it's really funny. I tell them, before our first session, write down all of your questions that you have for me before the session. We'll go over them at the end. And 99% of the time, they say, "No, you answered all of them." The people who say, "I still have some questions," it's not because I didn't answer them. I did. It's because they're letting me know they're going to be a difficult case, because they're asking the same question a bunch of different ways. They're still asking, how do I do it? How do I believe? How do I know God's going to come through for me?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's that's like the opposite of faith there.
Yeah. I had this client now is, I'm sure you guys have seen her success stories, and we literally are like family. She is like a second daughter to me. She's, much younger than me, and just a beautiful person. And she really struggled with self-concept and trusting God, and her whole life has turned around to where she gets everything and instantly. And she's even told me, I love Neville, it's great, but I go to the Bible more than anything else now. And I'm just so proud, because when we first talked, she believed in God. I just don't think she believed in him the way she does now. Now, good luck trying to convince her not only that God isn't real, but that God doesn't do every single little thing you ask him. She'll tell you he does. Getting your prayers answered, she knows she has a direct line to God, and they just are like, "Oh yeah, you want that? Great." It's like God's not a sugar daddy, but like God's like a very loving father, and he sees his beautiful, kind-hearted daughter and wants to just keep, being there for her. And that's how she sees God. That's how you have to start to see your person.
Yes, I agree. That is how you have to see your person. It's interesting too. But yeah, so one of the things I wanted, which I thought of too, is people are like, "Oh, how do I know if God's going to come through for me?" And I think I mean, I guess maybe that's one of the reasons why we encourage people to read the Bible, because it's like, if you really, really understand what Jesus is talking about, I guess maybe that's the hard thing. Maybe people don't really understand it, but if you really understand what Jesus is talking about, he's like, I am coming through for you, and I came through for you, and I do care, and that's why I got myself nailed to a cross. But a lot of people don't get it. Like, that is God coming through for you, because he's like reconciling us, and that is him showing his love, and that is him conquering death so that we don't have anything to fear. So we don't have to go through life in fear and thinking that, things are hopeless. So that's the good thing, is that, God has come through for you. So want you guys to know that. But yeah.
Tonight we were talking about how for a while I was, thinking that, I just wasn't doing enough. I wasn't believing enough. And, I shared this with Anders, and I said, this reminded me when I watched this again, too. There was a time in my life when I thought that I wasn't, my belief wasn't going to be enough. I saw God helping other people and giving them things, and then not me. And I was like, I kind of felt like I was the one person not being healed. I was the one person not being helped. And I felt like I believed more. I would read all these success stories, and I was like, I know I believe more than that asshole. I know I do. I pray more, everything. I even say to you, I trust you more. Like, what the hell? And that was my story about me and God. And in my studies, and I think they even put it on The Chosen now, there's the story of the woman who bled, and the story of the man whose daughter, the first person, is it the first person? She's the first person Jesus resurrects, right? And he's like, he tells them, don't tell anybody yet. I'm not ready for the Pharisees and all that stuff. But in that, it's a great episode too. It's season 3. It's all about how Jesus, God, loves when you just have crazy blind faith. So in this episode, the woman with blood, what is it that's wrong with her? She just bleeds constantly. She has an issue
with blood. It sounds like something like that. I don't know if it means she's anemic, or she has a problem with her period or something like that.
Yeah, and she can't have kids, and she's been suffering for it. And back in those times, if you bled, or when you bled, women were considered unclean. You couldn't
had
touch
to be separated
anybody.
from everybody.
Yeah, you had to be separated from everybody. You could go sit in the ocean until sundown. Anybody you touched had to go do the same thing. And she's bleeding, and she just 12 years of suffering. But she hears about Jesus, and she's like, my suffering is over. And they do a great job in The Chosen. She is in the crowd. Earlier, she can't get a job anywhere, and she's washing everybody's clothes, but she has to hide from the fact that she bleeds, otherwise nobody will, and I think it's Mary Magdalene, or no, maybe it's Simon's wife meets her, and she says, I know this secret place, I have to go there because I bleed, and nobody will, and so she's like, we can get water there, and you can wash clothes, and there's nobody there, and, so she becomes and befriends her and says, I'm not worried about it and all that stuff. And she hears about Jesus from her, from Peter's wife, or Simon Peter's wife. And she comes to the conclusion that if I can touch, she's heard stories that if you even touch a single thread of Jesus's clothing, you'll be healed. That's how powerful he is. So Jesus is rushing to go raise this little girl from the dead, or she might be dying. And it's a Pharisee who was kind of against Jesus, but starts to see Jesus working miracles, and he's like, I believe. And then when his daughter's in trouble, and they're like, she's going to die, he's like, no, she's not. I know Jesus. I'll go talk to Jesus. And he does, and he's like, please, Rabbi. And, Jesus is like, you believe in me this much? Again, this was the whole theme of that episode. And he's like, yes, I've seen you. I know you can do it. Like, so your daughter might be dying, and instead of being there with her in her last moments, you came to get me because you believe I'll save her. And he's like, yes, I believe. And he's like, done. I'm on my way. And as they're walking through town, people start to crowd Jesus. The disciples are covering him, keeping everybody away. And this woman, this guy in the crowd goes, I know you. You're unclean. Get away from the rabbi. Rabbi, she's unclean. And she literally goes, just one thread. I'm going to tear up a little bit. But she dives through the crowd and literally touches one little thread. And Jesus gets knocked back.
Yeah, he feels the power go out of him. I think is what it says in the Bible.
He says, I felt you knock it out of me, or I felt the power of God knock that. And even when I watched it, I was like, oh shit, he's going to be pissed. he must think, like demon or whatever. I'm tired of you people sucking my energy. But it's not. He turns to her and he goes, who touched me? And nobody will admit it. He goes, who touched me? I felt it. Yeah. I felt your belief. And she goes, it was me. And he bends down next to her and starts to hold her. And the people are like, don't touch her, she's unclean. And he's like, back away, I promise you. I tell you now, this woman is clean. There is no more blood. And he says to her, you believed in me so much. You have no idea how much that makes me happy. Yeah. You thought if you touched a single thread of my clothes, that was enough to heal you.
Yeah.
And so he touches her to let her know, you're definitely healed. And he says, go, you are clean now. And he tells the townspeople, if anybody says anything about her being unclean, they will answer to me.
Yeah. Beautiful story.
And they say to him, well, now you're dirty, Rabbi. It's funny, at the end of the day, they make her go sit in the ocean, and Jesus is like, well, she touched me, and the disciples touch her too. They're like, I guess we're all dirty. And they all go into the ocean with her to, celebrate her healing. Now, the family that he's going to, you know the rest of the story. You want to tell them that part?
Or do you no, you can tell me.
Okay, so they go to this, I believe he's a Pharisee, and they hear back then if you died, you had to pay all this ridiculous money for flute players and singers. Otherwise, I don't know, something you wouldn't be allowed into the afterlife. I don't know what it was. But so as they approach the man's house, the man goes, what is that? What is that? And he hears the flute players and the singers. Now you think he would start crying, but instead he walks in and goes, get out of my house. She's not dead. Get out of my house. Jesus is here.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, you fool, she's already dead. They're literally laughing at her. They're like, well, we're getting paid because we played. And Jesus is like, I tell you now, she is simply asleep. She's not dead, she's asleep. And this guy will not say she's dead. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you playing? Get out of my house. Get out of my house.
I think he also has to clear the doubters out as well.
Yeah. And they tell him, get everybody, all the doubters out, right? And he goes upstairs and the wife is like, where were you? She died. She was scared. And he goes, don't worry. Jesus is here. It's all fine now. And she's like, what are you talking about? This man, he can't do... And he's like, please just be quiet and trust. Just trust Jesus. And again, Jesus says, you have that much faith in me. And he says, yes. And he goes, then I promise you, your daughter is asleep. She is not dead. And he walks over to her and he puts his hands on her. It's a very beautiful scene. And he just says to her, wake up, little lamb. And she wakes up.
That's awesome.
God's power is amazing, and you guys forget that. I love this show. I just love stories about Jesus. I've been watching a lot with my daughter and teaching her more about it, and she's really into it now, which is nice. She loves the Moses story, too. Like, one of her favorite movies she always has me put on is Prince of Egypt.
Well, I want to talk about this story, too. Yeah. This also ties into that thing of, like, well, why won't God show it for me? And so I guess there's something I want to add to that, but then also this story really ties into that because... There's a kind of one of the more darkly ironic passages of New Testament of the Gospels. It's one of these things where people are like, oh, why don't you show some miracles so people will believe or whatever, etc. Yeah. And then Jesus is like, somebody could be raised from the dead and people still won't believe. You know? And so he raised this girl, he raised Lazarus, and then he himself raised from the dead.
And it was still not enough.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was still not enough. But then on the positive side of that, it's like, I think if we ask God to help us and show us where God has come through for us, then we can see that. And then that's something which is good. That's something I always encourage people, create a little notebook of memorial stones of things okay, these are times God really came through for me. I couldn't believe it for myself, but he did it, and or it's something I didn't do. That's obviously amazing. He came through for me. And then, but I also think the bigger gift too is just the fact that you can have a relationship with God, and that's the real, that's actually the real prize. But so I just wanted to say that to encourage you guys to that you can, if you're saying that God has come through for you, and you can find those ways in which he's come through for you, and then that'll help you build you up, because that's one of the things too, I think, with the whole thing Neville Goddard's talking about is, it's part of it's you got to find things you can believe in, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's going to be a lot easier for you to believe in it if you realize oh, actually I have seen God move in my life, and I have seen awesome things happen to me rather than dwelling on all the things things didn't happen the way you hoped they would. So instead you can focus on all the times like things showed up, which in a miraculous way.
It happened to me, and it still every once in a while does. And Anders and I talk about this, and I think he has his stuff too. That we were talking about stuff tonight, and there were things where I was like, I still have a story about, and I don't understand because we remind each other it's okay that you're focusing on that, but I think you're forgetting about all the other really amazing miracles God has created for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one thing is not happening right this second, but think of all the other miracles, so why would this one not come through? And again, to use my own words against me, but if God's putting it in your heart, he's trying to give it to you. Because if he put something in your heart that he wasn't going to give to you, that would make him a giant dick. And I just don't see God like that. I just don't. Now that I know how he works. And again, sometimes too, he's showing you that there was a thing you thought you wanted, and you'll get it in a way to show you didn't even want it that way. You wanted it this way, and this way is even better for you. It's pretty amazing how it'll work out, but then sometimes it'll work out so you see you don't want that. And then he'll say, but this is what you really want. And it's because back then, this is what was good for you and what worked for you. But now you're a different person and you're at a different place in your life. And, I actually incorporated that in the TV show I'm writing. The guy is trying to get one thing and it all falls apart. And he tries to get it back. But the next time he's getting it back for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
And he realizes it's not for the reason he started off getting it for. It's for something deeper, something more real, something for his family. And, I can't give too much away, but he starts to realize that what he thought he wants, but in a different way now, and not for the same reasons. And they're much less, shallow reasons. It's for something that he could use it to do good with instead of just get a bunch of stuff for him, get rich, get famous, all that. This will allow him to actually, now he wants to do it to share the journey he went on and help others who are struggling with it.
Yeah, I think that's, I totally agree with what you're saying, and that's one of the tricks too, is to realize sometimes things are going to show up in ways you didn't expect, and you have to be open to that. And then also,
but again, you are creating it, so if you tell God's gonna, agree with you, and you got to trust that he's gonna make it happen. But what you guys got to watch out for is if it's not going the way you were like, I want it today at 6:00, and that you got to say, well, it's not God not making it happen. It's just, I would check in with yourself and say, do I really believe?
Well, one of the things too, this is what I want to say too, is that I think one of the things that can really help is kind of checking in and making sure you're in the right state of believing, and then believing and being understanding, okay, this is actually things working out. Mm-hmm. Even though it doesn't seem like it. So one of the examples I really like of Neville Goddard is that, the example of when he was in the army during World War II, and he didn't want to be in the army, but he was stuck there. And, he doesn't talk about how he was complaining or whinging a lot or crying. And he was really believing, but he didn't say he didn't doubt his own faith or anything. And he even went through a thing where he was denied initially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, but he was like, okay, well, I just got to keep persevering and keep believing on it. And then the, colonel or whatever it was came around, and he didn't try to argue with the guy or anything. He just when he was asked, he was like, yeah, I still want to go home. And the guy was like, okay, fine. I'll send you home. Whatever it is, you can go read the story for yourself to see the details. But I think it's Neville had faith that things were working out, and I think he probably got some of that faith from, I think this happened before World War II when he was with Abdullah, and Abdullah was like, you are in Barbados.
Yeah.
And so you just got to have that faith that you are on Barbados. And so he stuck
to one story.
Yeah.
And the story was, I'm out of the army.
Yep.
Not I'm going to be out of the army. I'm out of the army.
I think he would go to sleep thinking about being in his bed
his
at
own
home.
Bed, yeah.
And, with his wife and everything.
Yeah, and free
in New
from
York.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when he got his second wife, if you remember before that, Neville was like, you don't want to be married to that guy, you just want to be married. But then he tells you, I met my wife, and the moment I saw her, I knew I had to have her. And then he tells you, I didn't stop to worry about my old wife, who I wasn't divorced from, and we'd been separated 18 years, or wherever.
Wow.
I didn't worry about the woman who was in love with me, his roommate or whatever. And he didn't worry when she ran away because I think the other girl drove her off or something. He just simply went to sleep next to her every night. And that's how you get an SP. But Neville, at that time, was not dealing with the hurt and all that. He had himself fixed. He realized, and he kept sticking to this story throughout his life, that if I simply see it in my imagination, it will come to pass. It'll harden into a fact. If I assume it, it will harden into a fact. And a lot of you guys aren't doing that. A lot of you guys are remembering your old stories. I'm with Jimmy, but Johnny destroyed me. Look at that. Jimmy's doing that thing Johnny did. And sometimes he's not even doing it. Or you're like, I see a lot of girls on Instagram back in the day. I remember they'd be like, you got to be patient with my heart because I've been hurt before. And I'm like, bullshit, I didn't do it to you. Why do I have to be patient? Why don't you grow the fuck up and just realize I'm not, Jimmy Jack, and I'm not fucking. It was always these girls with like this country music playing. They're like, you gotta understand, I'm a delicate flower, and I've been hurt before, and I need to learn to trust you. No, you need to learn to trust somebody before you get in a relationship with them. Not bring all your baggage and throw it on me. Fuck that. No wonder you're single.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to think about, right? When you're reading Neville Goddard, is like, look out for that. Does he? And maybe it was a cultural style of the time, and maybe it's some classic kind of Americana or whatever. But I think it's also a big part of him, though. I don't think he was sitting around complaining or whinging or thinking about like, oh, how like these other people hurt him or his ex-wife hurt him, and he's trying to get over it still, and like yada yada yada. He wasn't like sitting there like with these old grievances or he didn't tell himself the story that because of my past history and my past circumstances, like I'm therefore broken.
And in fact, he says despite of them, right? Mm-hmm. He says despite that, I never even worried how I was going to get the divorce from her. I just knew I was already going to be divorced.
Yeah, and then it happens in a very like miraculous way with no hard feelings, and he actually helps out his ex-wife, and she's like realizes like she does the right thing by him, and it's all very good and actually quite beautiful how it all works out. And I hope she herself gets some help because she sounded like she had some issues. And so I think that's like really cool, but I think it's interesting. So like now it's okay to say, well, this is the bad story I'm telling myself, and to identify like, I was wounded in the past, like blah, blah, blah. But you gotta, if you start saying stuff like that, you gotta start realizing like, oh, this is the story I tell myself, and not take it as gospel, because that's not what God's saying about you and who you are. Instead, you got to be like, oh, this is the story I'm telling myself. Okay, well, now Neville Goddard reminds me, like, well, stop telling that bad story. So it's okay to identify the story and then say, okay, well, what's that thing you say? Delete, or erase, erase?
Delete, erase. I always say erase. And I picture a big whiteboard and everything just getting erased and it being bright white again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Bright white. I like that. It's like bright white. So it's like, even though my sins are scarlet, I'm as white as riven snow or whatever. It's something like Isaiah. So that's what like Jesus' blood does, is it washes us clean. So we can just I'll wash our imagination clean of like all these things.
Yeah, and you guys got to remember too, like the new person is not the old person, and that story only happened because you told that story. So you've got to let the past go. Listen, if you're going for an SP, I'll tell you now, and Anders watching me on my journey can tell you the same thing, and he would try to tell me this all the time too. If you don't forgive, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you don't, and I don't mean forgiving them, I mean forgiving yourself too. You have to forgive them,
everybody,
yourself, everybody.
Any unforgiveness to God, any unforgiveness to the old people, to the new people.
I had to let go of this crazy court stuff, and just instead of I said one or two times I forgive, and it was really hard when I did it. So I just said, well, the other thing I can do is not think about it at all anymore, and they'll disappear. And they do when you don't think about it. It's like if you have a third party. I know it's really hard. God bless you if you're going through it. I know it's so hard to be like, hear me go, just ignore them. You're like, yeah, asshole, how do I ignore them? But ask yourself, am I doing everything to ignore them? Or am I stalking their social media so I can get that pain fix? So I can see that picture of them with my person.
Yeah, exactly. And, can't ignore... here's the big thing, right? Can't think two thoughts at once.
Yeah.
Right? That's a really good thing we brought up before. So, okay. Well, hey, if you have to, I don't know, go watch a funny movie or go read Neville Goddard or something, or read the Bible and just
or
keep
do something not Neville related. Remember the time with the sunglasses? Yeah. You were like, bro, you are so crazy right now. You can't find any blue glasses, because I was like, my reading glasses are blue and my sunglasses are blue. That was a crazy story. This lady brings them to me in the middle of the night from the subway or whatever. It was nuts. But so you told me, dude, I'm getting off the phone. This is ridiculous. You're crying over like a $12 pair of sunglasses. Like, just see them in your head and then fucking forget it. Go watch a stupid movie.
Yeah, go watch something funny.
Yeah, go watch something funny and take your mind off of this for a while. So I saw it in my head. I did what he said. I saw it in my head. I saw my glasses laying bridge on bridge in this little bookshelf I have with these candlesticks on it. And I went and watched the dumbest movie I could find. It was like one of Adam Sandler's worst movies, and I just wanted it to be so dumb that I didn't have to think at all about it. And I watched it, and I was a lot calmer. And throughout the movie, the glasses kept popping up in my head, and when it was done, I was like, well, I know those blue reading glasses are in this fucking house, because I never leave with my glasses on. I always leave them here because I only have one pair and I don't want to lose them. And I remembered my mom saying, pray to St. Anthony when you can't find stuff. And I was like, that shit worked every single time. Like, and I really had the belief that when I prayed to St. Anthony, it worked every time. So of course I prayed to him. I was missing my mom, and I was like, that popped in my head, and I was like, where are these fucking glasses? And something told me, go into the kitchen, and I remember my daughter at the time was really young, her high chair was in there, and I was like, why do I keep going to this damn high chair? And I see these bags underneath of them, and I'm like, it's just paper towels. That's where I keep the paper towels. And I was like, wait a minute, paper towels. When I bought paper towels, I thought the lady, because again, I had so many bad stories, I thought the ladies at Rite Aid were like overcharging me. So I did bring my glasses to be like, look, bitch, I caught you, right? And I didn't want to drop them on the ground. And I would always lose glasses that I hung for me. So I put them in the bag because I was like, they can't get broken with paper towels. And I said, if I can find those reading glasses, I'm definitely getting my sunglasses back. And as soon as I found them, I was like, motherfucker, I found them. And I walked over to the couch. And before I even got to the couch, a knock on my door. And there's that lady. I found these sunglasses, and I saw you wear ones like this morning. And I was on the train coming home. And so on the train coming home, all these people, I don't know, it was just nuts. And I've told that story before, so I don't want to go into it again. But again, I said, if I can find the other glasses, I definitely will get the other ones. And I made it a belief. I declared it. I didn't doubt it. I just said it, and I was like, it's a fact.
You know what's hilarious is I was at my aunt's house today, and she's like a bioanthropology professor, retired, and that's why she's up here now. And I was just talking about different stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I've like helped my friend Bryant with like his podcast, and she's like, oh, what's it about, blah blah. And I actually brought up that story as like an example, because I was like, it's an example of like how people like sometimes can't see things or whatever and stuff like that. And she was like, oh yeah, this is very interesting. So yeah, she really like that. That's so funny though that now we brought it up again.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. It's really God like saying, hey, remember this, and then he'll have something too. And it's funny because again, I went through all that, had all that crazy stuff happen. The same thing with my wedding ring, right? I dropped it in the washing machine. And they were like, we can't get it out. And I was freaking out. And they're like, oh, if it fell under that thing, because it's got the little turn thing in it or whatever. And they're like, and I was doing it in my building instead of, and it dropped in there. And I got mad, and I was like, God, this is important to me. Give me my fucking ring back. And I hit the washing machine thing in the middle, and I hear this ping. And I was like, did that fucking ring just shoot out of that thing and into the little steel, place where your clothes go? And I turned my head and I looked down, and I go, son of a bitch, I knocked it out. It had fallen in there somehow, and somehow hitting this thing, it just but again, I said, I know God will give me my ring back. So just give it to me. And I was like, I believe in you guys. But I was like, it was weird because at the same time I was like, do it, damn it. But I was like, but I also really fucking believe in you. You know, it's like, I really believe in you, so give it to me. I'm believing. It's my wedding ring. They're telling me it just went out into the sewer. It drained out of this. And I just heard ping, and I was like, why do I fucking doubt? I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah, I know.
God gives us so much, and then when another problem comes up, we're like, oh, he's going to fail us.
Yep. Or this is not, or the I was thinking, I'm trying to remind myself, like, oh, whatever is happening is not part of God's working everything out, you know? It's like God has his own timeline, and I think about that too. Like, I love that phrase, bridge of incidents. And like, sometimes that bridge of incidents, it's like, God's got a bunch of people he wants to help out, right? So sometimes his bridge of incidents is he wants to, like, connect everybody together. And so,
like a random lady in my building.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wanted a Starbucks and has never had one, and just talked earlier in the day to her friend about how she'd always wanted one. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I ran to Starbucks and got her a gift card to say thank you for bringing my sunglasses back.
Aww.
And then she tells me, oh, do you want to hear something crazy? I talked to my friend today. We walked by there, and I said, I always want one, but I don't have a lot of money, and I can't really afford. This poor lady was taking care of her son, and he had lost his job and all this stuff, and it was crazy. And she was like, oh, I'll just give this to my son. He'll enjoy it. I was like, no, you go take your friend or use it all for you. But make sure you have your first Starbucks, you know? And I felt bad because she wanted to babysit. And I was like, I don't really ever need a babysitter. Because, you know, at the time it was like, whenever I see my daughter, I want to be with her. I don't want to leave her with somebody. So I'm never going to need a babysitter. You know, but I felt bad and I wanted to do something nice for her. But again, she did that, and then I go give her a Starbucks card, and she had been talking about that earlier. And then again, right now, Anders talks to his aunt about it, and then we're talking about it again tonight. It just popped in my head. You know, God is always working for you. I remember before my mom died, she'd had a stroke, and she was in this, like, childlike state. And my dad was like, I'm really sorry. I think I robbed you guys of a last moment with your mother, but you can go in and try, because we all wanted to try. And my first sister went in, and I felt bad I didn't tell anybody at first. And she was like, no, Mom's, you know, she's in that state. She's watching, I remember it was like, she was watching Christmas movies, like, nonstop. And she loved the lights in the movies, and it was very innocent and childlike, and, you know, after the stroke, she just wasn't herself. So I go in there, and I'm trying to have a moment with her, and again, I'm just like, please, God, and she snaps out of it and goes, listen, whew, just telling this really chokes me up. We don't have a lot of time.
Wow.
She said, God wants you to know that you two have to stop fighting. You have to get out of your own way. You guys are both getting in your own way.
Yep.
And she said, what you need to both remember is, and listen to this. She grabbed me and she was like, God's working for you always and in all ways. And then went right back into that state.
Wow.
Talking about the pretty Christmas trees and the Christmas lights. And I walked out and I didn't tell anybody about it because I felt bad that my sisters didn't have something like that happen. And when I almost killed myself, I kind of confessed everything, I think, to you, Anders, and my dad, that I'd almost killed myself. And I told you guys kind of what happened with the TV turning on. And like, I was like, if you won't help me, God, fuck you. My mom will. My TV turned on, went from HDMI 1 to HDMI 2 somehow, went all the way, like, zipped all the way over to YouTube at the end and turned it on. And there was this video about loving yourself like your life depends on it, because it does.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy. And then I told him, I said, you know, I never told any of you guys this, but this is what happened. You know, my dad's favorite thing to say when I tell him this stuff is spooky. I like to say it's spooky. Like when I bought that sweatshirt, I think I told you, I bought this sweatshirt for Lucy because my wife likes to take these pictures of, you know, like comparisons of us when we were little to her and stuff at different ages. And I found the sweatshirt, the Vans I used to wear, and we did this photo shoot where we combed her hair like she had the Tony Hawk skater cut. And I ordered this sweatshirt for her because I was teaching her how to skateboard too, and I put her nickname on the back, the Goose, and it was like from the 80s, like early 80s, and it was in her size and everything, and it gets mailed to me and somehow accidentally goes to the wrong person, and the mail person's like, look, technically, she broke the law by taking your package, but we can't go do anything about it either because we can't accuse somebody of a crime.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. And then I said, wait a minute. We're not getting a lot of our packages, and I keep talking about how we don't get our packages, and especially the mailman fucks it up. And I remember I said, we only get 30% of our packages.
Yeah.
And I said, but I'm supposed to change my story. So I changed my story, and it was really weird. I saw the lady in my head, what she looked like, and I said, she's going to open that bag and be like, damn it, this is for a kid. I can't keep it. She's got my address. She could literally reseal it because I knew the lady who sent it to me. She'd sent me other stuff, and it was always in resealable bags in case she had to fix something. And I said, and all she's got to do is drop it in the mailbox again. 2 days later, and I also said, this is the big thing. I said, she's going to see it and go, my curiosity got the best of me, but I can't steal from a kid.
Yeah.
2 days later, I get a crazy package all smashed together with like tape all around it. It's just like this big giant ball of tape. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I happen to even be on the phone with my dad, and I open it up, and I'm like, oh, it's the sweatshirt. I knew before I opened it. And my dad's like, no way. They said that somebody else got it, and they even know where, but they won't tell you. And I was really frustrated. I said, no, but I said that I was going to get it. And I opened it up, and then this little Post-it note was in there. It said, sorry, curiosity got the best of me, but couldn't steal from a kid. Here's your sweatshirt.
No way.
Yeah, and my dad was like, spooky.
He
always says spooky. Yeah, he tells people, don't mess with me, because if they don't believe me, I'll make them do something they would never do to prove it works. And he's like, and it's, him, he's got a twisted sense of humor. It'll be something embarrassing.
I forgot that there was a note in the package.
Yeah, it was crazy. My dad's like, that's spooky. And now, he was a non-believer. He said, he confessed to me, look, when you started talking about this Neville stuff, I was like, oh my God, this is the first of many conversations where I end up checking him into a mental hospital. And he said that straight. He goes, I was like, all right, I'll let him believe it now, but I'm going to, I don't know how the fuck he thinks he's going to get all that back rent. And then I ended up with $25,000 and I needed 10. And he was like, holy shit, did you rob a bank? And I said to him, I was like, a lot of this says that people show up the way you believe in them, so start believing in me. And he's like, well, after this, I'll believe in you.
It's funny. I have a success story from a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And so, actually, it's actually the same friend of mine who I told you about the backpack.
Oh, yeah.
I found her backpack. But she moved to New Jersey, and she's living with some friends of ours, and she got this, new job, which is really good for her, where she's, helping, kids and stuff. She goes to, people's houses, and they, pay her to do that. But then, she first moved, she was in the city, so she didn't have, a car. So she's like, well, I can just go to, places where I can get public transit. And then she ended up just being faithful, and she had this job where she would, have to, do something, super annoying, to take the bus, and then but then a new bus route showed up, which was, better. But then she still had to, walk a lot to, get to this appointment. And then she said it was so funny because she'd get off at this stop, and then there's some kind of crossing guard there and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the guy would be there and be like, oh, hey, yeah, you're New Year. He's like, hey, don't worry. Everyone who stops at this stop, they always get a car. And he'd say that to her. They'd be like, oh, and then he'd just see her all the time, hey, don't worry. You guys always get cars. Don't worry. And then the funny thing was that she actually thought she was going to inherit a car. It's a long story, but she didn't get it. And I think she could have felt, I'm sure she felt some kind of way about this, that she wasn't getting a car. And then what happened was that actually she got blessed by somebody else. And then she also heard from the Lord, okay, yeah, sure, you're going to get a car, but don't take out a loan for the car. She's like, what? I don't have that much money, whatever. And then she got blessed, and somebody gave her a car. Actually, do not know the financial details, if they just paid for the loan for her and she's going to pay him back, or if they just said, hey, here's a car, but she got a nice looking Hyundai in perfectly good shape. It's definitely not brand new, but it's in good shape. And now she has a car, and she didn't have to take out a loan or do anything for that. So she's really good for her financially. And so she got really blessed, and that was really amazing. So
by the way, crossing guard was God.
Yeah, exactly. It's
God talks to you. You got to listen. If you're too busy talking and complaining, you can't hear when God is sending people to you and using them and their voice to tell you his message.
Yeah, he was reminding her to to be faithful and be patient, and it was good because she's she could have been, I'm sure she did, obviously, in some degree. I'm sure we all sometimes feel sorry for ourselves, but she stayed faithful, and she went and did this job and all that, and it's like helping these kids and all that, and now she has like a lot more flexibility, and she can take on like different jobs now, and
all right, so
now she's like living in her new place. It's great.
Let me jump back to our topic. This is the problem with us being in the same room is we just love having these conversations anyway. But so back to the topic of asking yourself, what is my story about love?
Yeah.
What is my story about me in love? And then finally, what is my story about me and my person? Be it a crush, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. I don't really like the whole crush thing. If you're young, date like crazy, and don't be sweating a guy in college and high school, but do you. Some people make it work. I don't know. I can tell you that you're a very different person at 40 than you were at 20.
Yeah. But I will say, if
but you can make anything happen.
If you're blessed to find a person young, like that's the best. I mean, I know definitely my family have had lots of good examples of that. So yeah.
Yeah. But again,
bless you.
You guys need to, if everyone else is showing up, all these crazy ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends are trying to get back together with you, you got to say, well, you know what? I never had a story about this guy. And I fixed my self-concept. I love myself, and he's showing up loving. Everyone else is being nice to me for absolutely no reason. What the hell's going on with my SP? And I bet you'll realize you have a story about you and them. I bet you realize you have a story about you and love and relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of times the SPs that contact you first, or the old boyfriends, are ones you had, like, when you were really young and it wasn't that big of a deal when you broke up, or you had a good breakup with them, one of you guys moved or something and we're just like, hey, they'll probably be the first to reach out. Anyone that you had any story with, if they're not reaching out too, it's because you have that story. They were the ones that maybe helped you create that story. But you've got to get rid of that story. So you got to ask yourself, what's my story about love? A lot of you guys will realize there is a pattern. A lot of the people that I coach, every once in a while I get somebody who's had one love, and so they have to figure out what the story that was formed from that one love was. But most of them have had multiple loves, and they're like, oh shit, every single one of them has ended up with me getting dumped for this reason. I was too clingy, I was insecure, I was too needy, whatever it is. I didn't think I was worthy. The guys I like don't like me back. I'm never chosen. So you have to find out what that story is and start changing it. So if it's the guys I like never choose me, I'm chosen. Well, I meet these women and they're kind of out of my league and I don't think I'm worthy. Then start saying I'm fucking worthy. And guys, a lot of you guys go, well, I tried affirmations and they just gave me more anxiety, so I quit. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you start saying the opposite of what you believe at first? You're going to have a shit ton of anxiety. But that's how you know it's working. I told you guys, my first 3 days of my mental diet was exhausting and I thought I was going to go insane. A week into it, I almost quit and somebody was like, do not quit. You're about to strike gold. And sure enough, 2 or 3 days later was when I wrote that first big success story. And then a couple days after that, because I was like, oh, I focus mostly on this and not that. And then I switched it to that, and then that worked out too. You guys got to watch the story about you and love. And I say that because you will compare your current person, whether you're with them or broken up with them, to everybody else. And what you don't realize is, what are the chances you bumping into 5 of the same guys and dating them? No. You could say I have a type, but that's usually physical stuff. You're attracting... It's like people who want to date married people. You're looking for somebody who's unavailable.
Yeah. You
want it to not work out. And what's the point of getting the married guy? He's not going to want to have the big wedding like you want to have. He's already had kids. He's not going to want to go through that. You're not going to get to have that first, your own love story with somebody.
Yeah, it's also interesting. It shows a lack of faith in the future. I think about that
too.
too.
You think God put your person with somebody else, and then you have to steal them. Like, no, why would he do that to you?
Yeah, but and then it's also like, oh, well, I want somebody who's proven, that they can marry
I always
somebody
hear
and all that
married
stuff.
guys are closers, and that's why women go for them. And
but I mean, my thing about it's like, well, what's the sensible thing? Well, I think the sensible thing is, my two grandmas who married the doctor when he didn't have any money, and he married the engineer when he didn't have any money, and and ended up dying at a ripe old age with lots of money in the bank because they married right and did the right thing.
Was it you that I told that story to about when I was trying to explain what we were doing, the whole I'm not working because I'm trying to be an actor? It's like the woman who puts her husband through medical school, and then whoever it was I told this to goes, yeah, but at the end of that time, that guy's a fucking doctor. You're not going to be a fucking doctor. You might still be a broke actor. He goes, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard. He goes, no wonder you guys broke up. You're both dumb. She's supporting you and you're off doing this thing, but neither one of you is going to end up being a doctor at the end. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Why didn't the guy become a doctor?
No. What I'm saying is I use that example. I was like, my wife is supporting us right now because I'm trying to get this acting and writing thing going, and, eventually I'll be able to support us and buy the big house, and we really believe that. And I said, it's like, the woman who helps get her husband through medical school.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, but at the end of that, he's a fucking doctor. You're not going to be a doctor. You might not make it. Most people don't make it in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was like, you're a funny guy, you're a good looking guy, but there's thousands of you out there, hundreds of thousands of you out there. Most people can't become a doctor, So if he got into medical school and he's on his way, he's going to make it. You, not so much. You might not make it,
That's true. Yeah. But there's also the thing too, which is I just love that story about supposedly Kobe Bryant was in high school. They're like, oh yeah, are you crazy? What, you think you're just gonna go be in the NBA? He's like, well, yeah, no, I realize most people aren't going to the NBA, but I'm different. I am going to be different.
Yeah, I practice 5 times a day. I practice from 3:30 in the morning.
But he was obviously really good when he was in high school.
Yeah, and then I practiced after school with my team, and then I sleep 3 hours a night.
Yeah, and then he busted his ass first. But anyway, not to get too diverted, but so I think, it is a big part of that is, stories.
But that's the reason those people are successful. Kobe Bryant told himself from the time he was little, I'm going to be the greatest basketball player ever, and he pretty damn near came close to it.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy said, from the time I was 13 till I was 17 or 18 and got on SNL, I would say to myself every day, I would tell everybody that would listen, I'm going to be a millionaire and a famous comedian. I didn't realize 48 Hours, great movie. Dude was like 19 or 20 with Nick Nolte, who was like in his 40s at the time. And he was hanging with him and being very believable as a man with another man instead of a guy with this teenage kid, which he was. Absolutely. He was a teenager.
No, absolutely. Well, that's what you think of too. Then I'm thinking about Neville Goddard's life. It'd be interesting to know more about him. But it's interesting because he started out like being a dancer, and I wonder if he thought he was going to be like Well, they probably didn't even have Fred Astaire when he was a dancer, but that's probably what he wanted to be. But it's interesting because he allowed himself to be open to where God took him.
Paths,
and that really worked out, and that's happened with you, where you've been open to new things as well.
Yeah,
and you've things have gone differently from how you thought, but you've
it's
opened
been tough
up really
wanting
new
to go back
things.
to the writing and stuff because when I started doing this at first, it was a little tough and some of the clients were tough. And I started saying, okay, well, again, I create everything, so I'm just going to create that I never have to advertise. I never have to waste any time with that stupid shit. I will have so many, and you really help with this because I remember when I first started, you're like, you just have to remind yourself, you have so many clients now, you're turning people away. And ever since I did that, that's what's happened. I don't have a wait list. I don't have anything. I have a way that I pick people, and I don't tell anybody how it is, and I give everybody a chance, and I am really clear, please just answer these questions, be honest, this and that. The ones that do get exactly what they want. The ones that don't, I usually, 1, they can't do it, and 2, I wouldn't take them anyway. But, every once in a while I'm like, you could have had what you want had you just told me the truth about this when I asked instead of later. And they were like, damn it, can I? And I'm like, and I tell everybody, look, don't reach out till you're ready. Like, really ready. No, I got to transfer money, or I got to sell stocks, or I got to whatever. And why do you need to? It's not a lot. I mean, it is, but it's not that much to sell stocks and stuff. But, like, be ready emotionally, too.
Yep, that's a big thing.
You have to be ready to be able to continue as long as we need to go. And if you are, I find most people only need to go 1 or 2 months anyway. But you can't start this and stop. Once you open this box, God's not going to let go. What ends up happening is, if you quit, what you don't realize is you're not quitting on your SP. You are quitting on you, and you're quitting on you and God. But the problem is, God's in charge of all of it, and he doesn't quit on you. So you're going to have to keep going. You can't.
Amen. You
can't quit. He's not going to let you go. Show me one place in the Bible where somebody says, no, God, and God's like, okay. Right, look at Moses. Moses is caught under, like, I love what is the movie with Christian Bale and Joe Edgerton about Moses, right? Like, Moses is literally in mud up to his face, and God appears to him as a little boy, and he's talking to him, and he's kind of like telling God, I don't want to do it. And God's like, all right, I'll just put that mud over the rest of your face, and you can die. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. Then he gets mad at Moses. He's like, Moses, your brother hasn't let my people go. What the fuck? And he's like, I gave you that. I think he talks about his staff or something, and then Moses doesn't realize the power of the staff, that it's an actual tool God gave him until the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So he's like, use your staff. And Moses goes to his brother, and his brother's like, yeah, fuck off, you and God. And God's like, hold my beer. And 7 plagues. And he's like, you could have done it too. And then the last plague, Moses feels horrible about it. And God's like, they did it to your people. Maybe they need to feel it. And if you watch, I think they did it in both the Prince of Egypt and the Exodus movie, but there's scenes in them where the night of the mist or whatever that kills all the firstborns, God goes to Ramses to see if he lets him feel him, and Ramses gets scared, but then turns to God and says, I'm not afraid and I'll never submit, or something like that. Like, pretty much seals his kid's faith, like says, fuck you, I'm a God, not you, or something like that. And God's like, all right, I gave you a chance.
Yeah.
But guys, you're not going to be able to fight it. And why? It's going to be, from the most painful moment of your life is going to spring the best moment of your life. Things are always going to get good when shit falls apart. Because sometimes you fucked it up so much, it has to all fall apart to be put back together. But with better and newer parts, newer stories, newer beliefs in you.
Well, I mean, I guess there can be a thing to help us understand, like, if the circumstances you don't like the circumstances, maybe it's a good time to start re-examining your stories you're telling yourself.
Yeah, because you don't have to go through all that pain. You can recognize who it is and be like, oh, well, I'm about to be saved. All right, God, I'm going to go along with this. And you know what I'm going to start saying? She will come back. I never get left. My stories were, they always leave. They never come back. I had an ex-girlfriend before my wife say, when a woman is done with you, she is done with you. And then I remember every time I thought of that, I would hear another woman say that. I'd hear it on TV. I'd read it in an article. I'd see it somewhere. I was like, shit, that must be true, because all these women keep saying when they're done with you, we'll put up with all your bullshit, but once we're done, that's it. We won't ever come back. And I was like, I believe that story. So I had to tell myself, everybody comes back. They always come back. She always comes back. And the way to do that is believe in them. You guys all say you love them, and then you have so much doubt in them. So much doubt in the love that you guys had. You all tell me how wonderful it is and how safe it was and how great it was. And then you're like, but curse that love. Curse that person.
Yeah, I think that is... Yep, yeah. And so you have to start...
You change the story.
The new story that, hey, people come back all the time. Happens all the time. And then I think you also want to prepare yourself... Personally, maybe it's just a story I'm telling myself, but you want to prepare yourself to say, okay, and, this time things are going to be different. Like, we're going to do things differently this time, and we'll show up.
You don't even say it. Just see them the new way. Because I kind of notice when I put things in the future, they stay there sometimes. So
Good point.
So start to look at them the way you did when you first met them, because honestly, that's what attracts them back. You're not
That's a good point.
changing your person either. What you're doing is you're changing your story. The only one to change is you, because you're what pushes everything out, and then the world responds to that script and shows up and plays those parts. So if you're still saying, well, things are getting better, but he hasn't committed, then don't be surprised if he starts to
I
go
guess
away.
what I'm trying to say, you're dead on. That's a much better explanation, because what I was trying to say is, the story you tell is they're going to come back, but your story is also they're the same annoying person who I remember, or they're still mad at me, or
her fucking parents hate me,
bitch, or their parents hate me, or whatever it is. Your negative story is about them, and that's what you think about, and then you're thinking, they're coming back, but then you're just like mentally arguing with them because you feel like they haven't changed, like blah blah. But then, as Brian said, no, you talk about the story of who they are that you fell in love with, and that's who they are, and start telling that story.
Yeah, there was some client I had that told me he had some stories about. So they were married, and her parents didn't like him now because they were also going through a divorce. And he said, when I went to go change my story about us two, I just started saying, everybody comes back, everybody loves me. Because I was like, why do this with her and then have to go back and then deal with the parents too? I just knocked everybody out at once. Nice. I just changed my story about everybody all at once. And I was like, everybody loves me. We're a family again, because we were a family. We were married. We were literally family. And so all my family loves me. All my family accepts me. All my family misses me. Not misses me. I don't like to throw pain in there. So if you're saying they miss you, obsessed, I get why a lot of you guys say it when you're in a bad place. You want them to be obsessed with you. But I will say they do come back crazy obsessed. Like they want to crawl up your ass and die. I think of the scene in Step Brothers. Remember when the lady's in the bathroom? She's like, "Oh, Dale, I just want to ball you up and shove you up my vagina. And every time I feel a little tingle, I go, oh, that's Dale and he loves me." Like they will come back fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Obsessed with you.
Adoring or something.
Yeah, or they'll be like,
that
you
might
can't
be
even
a little
go
bit
the
more
other
in line
room.
with what you want rather than obsessed.
I talked to one couple and they were like, I don't even like it when he leaves the room. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that doesn't really sound healthy.
And he said, I remember saying, she's obsessed with me. She has to be with me and near me at all times. And she was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm trying to take a dump.
Exactly.
Are you done?
Why are you standing next to me?
I mean, when you have kids, that happens. When you were with your wife, she knows too. She's like, stay in there as long as you want. I'm going to finish my Candy Crush while you play your whatever game on your phone and take all you need. If it's been more than an hour, they know, are you okay? Did you fall in? But other than that, you'll get that time. When you have kids, the door will open when you're, and they'll be like, oh, you're playing a game? What are you doing? You're not even shitting. Get off the toilet. These kids need help. I'm going crazy. And the whole family is in the bathroom with you, But yeah, he was really smart. He was like, I'm going to work on everybody. That way when I get back, I don't have to worry about it. And, I think really ask yourself, what is my story about me in love? What is my story about me in love, when I'm in love and with the partner, and what is my story about me and this partner? And I think you're going to find it all goes back to that story about you and love, right? I'm never chosen. I'm not worthy. I always get left. I'm never forgiven. That was my other big one. I'm never forgiven, and they never come back. When they're done, they're done. I don't even like saying that. As I say that, I don't like saying it. So you have to tell yourself, I always get another chance. They always come back. I'm always chosen. And guys, if you're married and get whatever, if you believe in that love, then fucking believe in it.
Yeah, and that's where the whole forgiveness thing ties in too. As we were saying earlier, like I forgive them, they forgive me.
Yeah, a lot of you guys are like, what do I do if I'm still mad at them? Get over it. Shut up about the bullshit and get over it. Because the more you talk about how you're mad at him, the more reasons he's going to give you or she's going to give you to be mad at him.
Now, it's can be worth inquiring why you're so mad, but that's what.
Yes.
So you got to learn to detach yourself from your anger and being like, this is interesting. I'm mad. I'm feeling mad. I'm feeling upset, and to kind of observe, like, when did this feeling start? What am I associating this with? And then you can start to discover, like, okay, well, what's that underlying belief? Like, and honestly, something which popped in my head earlier, to be honest, was when we were first talking about this, is a lot of times the root, if I'm keeping it real with you guys, the root is God doesn't love me.
Yeah.
And that's why
I'm a
he's
victim.
like allowing this to happen, because God doesn't really love me. I'm crap. Like, he just, doesn't want me to get my person back, or he wants me to, be with a terrible person, or he doesn't want me to, whatever, be a virgin forever, or whatever it is. Or, you're thinking, or I'll never have kids, or whatever it is. So that's a lot of it, like that sort of like fear of missing out, or God doesn't love me. And so that is...
I see it with arranged marriages, because I do get a lot of people who want arranged marriages. Luckily Neville GAZSP has gone worldwide. But a lot of times...
We're not arranging marriages yet.
Yeah, no, we're not arranging marriages. But I'm seeing a lot of women, especially like the mother-in-law doesn't like me, the family doesn't think my family's rich, all that. And they get rid of that story, and the mother-in-law suddenly loves them. The other thing Neville did say, and I really need to stress this, because again, it goes back to forgiveness. Neville tells you, I believe it's the 5 lessons, or Power of Awareness. I've been rereading all of them again, so I don't remember exactly. But he says, not only are you to forgive, but forget. The problem is a lot of people forgive, but they don't forget. And then the story comes back, and then the person goes back to being that again, and then you're alone again. Forget it, because the truth is you created it anyway, and if they prove it to you by coming back, because you forgive them, and they forgive you, and then you stop telling the story, and they turn back into who they were, then never tell the bad story again. Just fucking forget it.
Well, and that's the thing, though, because it's easy for people to look at the circumstances and say, okay, well, that's who this person is.
We're guilty of it.
Rather than saying, like, well, okay, they're acting this way at this particular point in time, which I do not like. But
we talk about it, right? With our wives, we're like, we have to remind each other, like, oh, well, that's why, because you tell that story about her. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not true. We're telling that story. And guys, listen, if you're afraid of something, it means you fucking believe it. You're not afraid of walking out of your house if you live in the U.S. by being bit by some crazy, tarantula that only lives in Australia. If you don't live near killer bees, you don't walk out of your house afraid of killer bees. But I promise you, if you start worrying about killer bees and Australian spiders, you'll end up on a plane or something with some fucking guy who's trying to bring one of those things back, and it'll bite your ass on the plane. But you're like, I would never worry about it. It's so ridiculous. Yet you guys come up with these crazy, myself included, stories about your person, about money, right? Money, perfect example, me. I literally told Anders, what the fuck am I going to do? I dropped out of college. I haven't had a corporate job in I don't know how long. She's been paying all the bills. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to have all this stuff. Like, how am I going to afford this place? She couldn't even afford all of us. And I was like, how am I going to do it?
The whole story, yeah.
And then I got serious with it. And then I kind of surrendered. And I was like, I don't think God is going to screw me over. I was weeks away from getting evicted. Not even that. My dad had to co-sign my apartment because I didn't make enough money when she left to keep the place. And he's like, I'm not ruining my fucking credit. I'm going to move all that shit out of there and you can go figure out where you're going to live. And you're not going to make it because I'm giving you a month and there's no way you're going to get that much money in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I'm coming with a movie truck. And I remember he called me and I was like, I'm good. I got the money. I got the money and I got $15,000 more. And he's like, you're lying. And I sent him a picture of my screenshot of my bank account. He's like, that's Photoshop. And I was like, oh, ye have little faith. I was like, I'm telling you, here's my password. Go log into it. He's like, how'd you do that? And I told him the story, and he's like, spooky. That's what he said, spooky. These 2 guys show up, and it's just nuts. It's just nuts. So you guys gotta just, it was the same thing with coaching. I didn't know if I wanted to do it at all. And this lady calls me, and I was like, look, I want to help you, but you are such a pain in the ass. No matter what I say, I wouldn't help you if you paid me. And she goes, what if I paid you? It's like, how much are we talking? And the number she gave me at first, I was like, that's too much. Now I'd be like, after working with her too, I'd be like, that's not enough. It's like quadruple that. But yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to get into coaching. I never meant to tell anybody I was a coach. I got kicked off the Neville Goddard sub because I said, well, the person I'm coaching right now, this is what I'm having them do. And everybody's like, you're coaching. And then they were like, I'm not going to get into that, but All those mods are gone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But, all these people just started reaching out to me. And then I was like, can I sustain this? And then I was like, all right, well, let me test it out. And then you and I, when I did go for it, had that conversation where you're like, I think if you get your head right and you just start telling yourself you've got so many people, you're turning people away, then that's what will happen. And I remember that, and I just kept saying, I've got so many people, I'm turning people away. And I tried to do wait lists and all that. I was like, I don't need to. I, to this day, don't have a website. There's no, like this portion of the sub is, sponsored by, Bryant. None of that shit. I mean, I don't have to. Whenever I need new clients, I go, okay, spots open. The right people will show up. They'll be fun. They'll be believers. They'll, it won't be a big financial stress to them because I don't want anybody putting themselves in jeopardy. Because I had a lady once, she was like, okay, I want my SP and I just paid you, but I really need to focus on money too because I'm a single mom. So we did it. And then she told me later, she goes, oh, thank God it worked because I didn't tell you. I basically just gave you like my last little bit of money and I was hoping this worked. And I was like, why would you do that? Don't do that. You have kids. So now I ask everybody if they're, emotionally and financially stable. Don't go paying me, anybody, if you really can't afford it. That's fucking crazy. And if you don't believe you're going to manifest it back, you're not ready for coaching anyway. You're not going to manifest your money back, and you are not going to get your person back. If you don't believe you can manifest a little bit of money, then you got to go work on you. And if your finances are a fucking mess, go fix you anyway. What good is getting your SP back if you can't get married, buy a house, do all the things? You got to fix you. I know that's crazy for a coach to tell you, but if you don't have the money, I mean, you have the money, but like if you use it, you're fucked. Don't do that.
Yeah. You'll get the money.
Yeah, you'll get the money. I've had tons of people, I don't know how to get the money, and I say, look, say these things. There was a contest we had, and I said, all I need you guys to say is, money comes to me quickly, easily, and by a denomination you believe, hundreds, thousands, 50s, 20s, whatever. And I said, the first person who manifests $500 and can prove it, I'll give them 3 free sessions. Not only did we get a bunch of people that got 500, there were people getting 3,000, 5,000. It's just like what happened the other day. Somebody read the story and they said, this is what he told me to do, and I did it. But again, that guy changed his story, believed if he's telling me to do it, if it worked for him, it can work for me. But this is why I tell you guys, your affirmations have to be about you, because just saying I'm irreplaceable does you no good if you already think you're irreplaceable. Who gives a shit? Right? Or if you're not worried about being replaced. If you're not worried you're going to have a third party, you're not. So there's no point in saying I'm irreplaceable. You guys think that stuff because you're trying to say affirmations to be like, no, read my mind and you come do this. No. What changes them is you believing I'm irreplaceable. You have to believe it. Then they do. You don't send it out to them and that makes them believe it. Neville doesn't tell you that's how telepathy works. He tells you change your story inwardly, then you push it out. And he says to assume they're already believing what you believe. Assume you already believe it, right? Like when he tells you to do the telepathy thing, see them in your head and hear them say the thing in their voice, see their face through your eyes, first person, and repeat it until you believe it.
Yeah, it's interesting too because it's one of the things like this I was talking about where like if you live in the end and have that experience of let's say just holding hands and with your special person and that sort of joy or relief or whatever it is, like your body will actually physically feel that. But at the same time, if you're doing the opposite of it and you're in panic mode, imagining something which isn't actually happening to you right now, or it's just something which might happen in the future but isn't happening, then you're putting your body through all that stress as well. And so it's a real like thing. And so it's actually very real when you live in the end like that. And so that's why it's hard on you physically as well as mentally and emotionally. Yeah,
actually, funny enough, this reminds me of something. So before the big thing happened, there was a separation, and when that separation happened, I talked to a few people and they were like, bro, she's coming back. But like, the truth is, dude, you're kind of a dick. You never admit you're wrong. Like, you need to admit you're wrong. And I'm pretty sure she's going to come back. Like, our other buddy, mutual buddy, told me that. I think you told me that too. And I did. And I was like, well, these two guys are really smart. So if they're telling me that and they know me and they're the only two people who like lay it out for me and like tell me when I'm a dick. So this must be true. And I did it and it worked. And then, but I remembered one of the things I kept playing over and over again in my head was I remember the day I saw her that we reconciled. She was really pissed 2 days before that, and then I did something really nice. Like, she left. I was like, you want to leave? Leave, but all the shit that's here is staying here. And I was a dick about it. She's like, your daughter has no clothes, no diapers. I was like, you can go to the fucking store. You know, you want to leave? Break the fuck out. I was being a dick. I didn't want to admit I was wrong. And then I said, look, I was really mad. I felt set up. You can have whatever you want. I'll bring it over to you tonight. Tell me. And then she's like, well, let's talk. And then we talked, and I was like, I'm wrong about so much. And she's like, okay, well, let's start going on dates. And right away, I was like, okay. And so I remember the day we met, she told me, like, you look really handsome. Like, this kind of unfair, you showing up looking this good. And, like, you know. And then I remember saying, so are we doing this? Are we going to work it out once and for all? And she said, yes. And I really remember her smiling at me and putting my hand back in her hand. And it was like, we looked at each other like, till the fucking wheels fall off, you know? And I kept seeing that over and over again. And I kept hearing her say, you know, for good now, you know? And I kept hearing her say, I loved you. I told many of you guys my scene about picturing her pregnant, laying on a bed, our daughter asleep on her belly, hearing her say certain things to me, you know, things that I thought weren't going to ever manifest, like, because of just like, I remember there was this situation where I saw this thing with my daughter and her, and my daughter, you've done 1, 2, 3 with Lucy, right? So, like, my daughter loves to do this thing when she was little, 1, 2, 3, we, and she holds on to two people's hands and we swing her up really high. She loves it when Anders does it because he's so tall. But, so I pictured my wife and I doing that, picking her up from daycare, because we never would pick her up from daycare back in the day. And also, I pictured her in this outfit that I really liked, and, again, it was really funny. I was like, well, I guess that one thing's not going to happen. And for some reason, we had like a 50-degree day in the middle of August. And, or July or something. It was like they were graduating. She showed up dressed up and she wore exactly what I pictured in the thing. My daughter grabbed our hands and was like, 1, 2, 3, we. And I was like, holy shit, it happened. You know? And a lot of you guys, stuff like that happens to you. And you're like, oh, great. And then, and again, I did it too. I would get anxiety again. I would think, but why didn't the thing I want happen? I'm tired of these fucking consolation prizes. But again, have you gotten rid of your bad story? Have you gotten rid of your bad story about love? Have you, and I guess maybe even more importantly, Anders brought this up, have you gotten rid of your bad story about you and God? Because I think a lot of us still tell, it's like, okay, well, I know he did this, this, and that, but he's probably sick of my shit, so he's not going to do this for me.
Yeah, he's not going to bless me.
Yeah, we feel like we've used up all our favors.
But it's funny because Jesus says right in the Bible that God reigns on the just and unjust alike, which means that he is pouring down blessings right now on people who are not good people. So he's also blessing you too.
And you're missing it because, you know, there's the guy who, you know, attacked me a lot on the sub. And I'm sure there were lots of things, you know, but have hope, dude. You know, even though you've told me you're going to do horrible shit to me, God still loves you. And if you would let him in and stop being such a dick, you'd probably see some blessings.
Yeah.
Try just saying, I believe you. You always ask me, how do I believe? It's like breathing. You got to just fucking do it.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, right? Is that
I know you listen to this too, because you told me every time.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Bible's trying to tell us that like we are reconciled with God, we are good with God, we are righteous with God. That's what it all means. Like, and it's already done for us. He already did it. He did it on the cross. He made a covenant with us. And one thing people may or may not know is that like one of the first covenants is God does it with Abram. I think he's still called Abram, not Abraham. And God goes and, you know, sacrifices the animal. It's a blood sacrifice, prefiguring Jesus is pouring out of blood. And he, actually, one thing to mention too, though, is I think a lot of these, when you think of these old sacrifices, the sacrifice is actually a gift. It's like a barbecue. It's like, okay, we're gonna eat these animals now, you know, and so it's kind of like almost like a party. Except in Jesus's case, like he actually pours out his own blood, but he gives himself as a gift to us. So it's like, but anyway, so God does this covenant, right? And he puts Abram to sleep because it's not an agreement between God and Abram. It's an agreement between God and God, between the Father and the Son. And so that's the thing, right? God's made the agreement with himself. And so we can, so we just have to accept that God loves us, and we have to be reconciled to the reality of it. But it's like, we don't have to do anything because God's already done it for us. And so that's can be really encouraging. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to accept it, and they want to tell the story that, well, God doesn't really love them, or they don't do enough, or whatever it is.
Yeah, guys, your desire is there. Here's how it works. God tells you, like, if you want, then you'll want. Like, by saying you want something, you're saying, I don't have it. You're telling the story, I don't have it. And God is very good and understanding things in ways we don't. That when you say you don't have something, he's like, okay, that's what you want, that's what you get. You don't get it. You don't have it. You said you don't have it. You don't have it. I give you what you believe. But the whole point of that is so that you learn to believe that God always comes through for you. You realize once you start saying, God always comes through for me, God never fails me, once you start saying in those moments, well, I know God will give it to me, I know it's done. I've prayed, I've asked God, I've thanked God. Try thanking God instead of asking him, like Jesus tells you to, right? Thank the Father in prayer and go about your day knowing when you return home, it'll be there waiting for you.
Yeah, do everything with praise and thanksgiving. Yeah. Praise
and thanksgiving. He doesn't tell you ask him and beg him. He's like, no, say thank you for the shit. Don't even ask. Say thank you, because that's how quickly he does it. And when you get home, the shit will be there for you. So go about your day, enjoying your day. You used to tell me all the time, what would you do if they were back?
Yeah, exactly.
Live that life. Exactly. And I'd be like, well, if they were back, man, the relief would be, I'd be learning how to do this. I'd be doing that.
Live out of that relief.
And I had to start doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Just go get a life.
Yeah, you want to live out of that state of relief.
A lot of you guys are doing these affirmations, staying stuff, and sitting at home going, win, 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 win. And God's like, never, 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 because you keep asking me, fucking win. Guys, if you keep asking me, if anybody asks me one more fucking time how to speed it up, I mean, the fact that you ask that is proof you're not going to get it. You're saying, I don't have it. How do I speed it up?
Well,
speed up what? You already have it. Why don't you just let it in?
Lesson for all of us.
Yeah.
So we're all guilty of it. So
think of the prodigal son. A lot of you guys think you fucked up so bad you won't be welcome back. The prodigal son squanders his inheritance, everything, and comes back. And what does the dad do? He doesn't go, you big fuck up. No, you got to sleep in the barn for a little while and earn your way back. No, he's like, go kill the fattest calf, prepare the best meal.
You don't have to earn your way back.
That's you don't have to earn your way back. You're my son. I'm just happy you're home. You have to see your SP like that. I'm happy you're home.
Yeah, actually, guys, reread the prodigal son parable and think of it as the parable of the loving father, and then really think about it and be like, okay, this is a loving father. What does he do? Does he chase after his son? No. Does he give his son his inheritance even though he technically shouldn't? No, he gives his son the inheritance even though it was wrong of his son in the context of the time to ask for his inheritance that way, even though his son was going to squander it. So he allows the son to make mistakes. But it's like he's always out there, he's always available for his son to come back. And then I think it's implied that he's basically out there waiting for his son, Mm-hmm. And as soon as he sees him, he's like, I think he starts running towards him. And, it's amazing. And so God's doing the same thing. So you can be like, whoa, where is God? Why didn't he show up? Blah, blah. It's like, no, he's been there the whole time. And he's waiting for you. But he's also not going to, he came for us on the cross, but he's not going to he's going to allow us to make mistakes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because how are you going to learn? Is it a mistake if you learn something from it? No, it becomes a lesson. That's what I tell my daughter all the time. Dad, I made a mistake. Okay, did you learn something from it? Yes. Then it's not a mistake. It's a lesson.
And then reread it too, because there's another son, and so the other son stayed the whole time, but the other son doesn't realize that he has a good relationship with his father either. So the first son was didn't realize he had a loving father. He just ran away, and then the other son is he's there the whole time, and he's like, oh. I'm so good. I'm such a good son. But my dad doesn't appreciate me. Like, I just, I work all the time for him. He never gives me, like, he never throws a party for me and my friends. Like, wow, he doesn't really, like, love me or care about me. And the father in the parable's like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, of course you're my son. I love you too, just like him. But you didn't want to appreciate it, huh?
The way this story relates to me on so many levels. Like, when I was younger and I first moved to New York, like, every once in a while I'd have to go back home for like 3 months to lick my wounds. And my sisters would be like, fuck you, fuck him. He fucks up and you come back and then you go get him another apartment and you help him move back to New York. And my dad would be like, yeah, but he's like really talented and he's good. Have you ever gone to see your shit? And she's like, but what about me? And my sister my one sister was like, I'm going to be honest with you. We fucking hate you. And I was like, what? She's like, mom and dad give you everything. You were the fucking problem child. And she yelled at my parents. She's like, fuck you guys too. And my dad was like, yeah, but remember, like, you guys were all square. You guys got good, like, we didn't have to worry about you in that. Like, he was dyslexic. He had emotional shit. He had all this stuff going on. And we needed to be there for him. But we were like, look how strong these other ones are. So we went to help him. Because he needed it. But it doesn't mean we loved you less. In fact, we believed in you more. We're like, He's kind of a fuck up. We need to help him. We were like, these other ones, they're golden.
This guy's about to fall apart. Can you see this?
This motherfucker's going to have a nervous breakdown. He's going to go broke, bankrupt. He might go to jail or something. But you, fuck that. She's getting straight A's. Right? You bought him a car when he, I needed him to make sure he went to class. Like, when I went to college, I got a scholarship. And my dad was like, well, I'm going to get you a car. He wouldn't buy me a TV, though. He bought my sister's TVs. They were like, you know what? What's fucked up is we went to community college for 2 years to save you money. He goes and you buy him a car and everything else like that. And I'm like, well, he goes, but he got a scholarship. Like, I bought him a car because I was afraid he's going there for free. He thinks there's nothing, nothing at stake, and he wouldn't go to class. So I got him a car to go to class and to come home because I figured he'd party so fucking much we'd never see him, And I was very wild back then, and I'd always be like, oh, I think we got a bowl game or we got this. And my dad's like, just come home, please, So he let me take a car to school. And they're like, like I remember I wrecked a car. I wrecked a minivan. My dad bought me a Saab. And my friends were like, fuck you. You just wrecked the family van and you get a Saab. Like, I was in high school, 16, driving around in a bright red, beautiful sunroof open
those
Saab.
Are gorgeous
cars.
They
were amazing.
I don't care how used those Saabs were. They were so awesome. Is that a van?
Mine was a vintage restored. It was 92, and I got an 83, like, fully restored
so gorgeous.
Saab.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
they don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah, the sunroof, everything, the little key down low, and I remember, like, a lot of wild times in that car, And my sister was jealous, and I remember my dad being like, okay, well, he bought two. He bought one for me and one for my mom, and my mom was like, this car's really powerful. She didn't like it, and he goes, I was like, I'm going to get the turbo, and you'll get my, now kind of used Saab. My dad's like, no, I'm going to give your sister the turbo, and I was like, oh, that sucks. It's a cooler color and it's turbo, and I would always let her, try to convince her to let me drive it, but I mean,
my aunt had a Saab, and she did not, she kept that thing as long as she had it for like 30 years.
They last forever, man. Yeah. I had an 83. It didn't die on me probably till like the 2000s, and then I got a Honda Civic, and my dad got better when he realized that stuff. Like, when he bought me another car, he bought my sister a car because he's like, you went to community college instead of me paying $40,000 a year for 4 years. I only had to do it for 2, and so. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like, my sisters, I was definitely the prodigal son. I've always been the prodigal son with my family. I would go chase a dream, fuck up, come back broke and wounded, and they'd be like, all right, we'll come back, we'll heal you up and send you back out and get you back up there, And to this day, like, with all the stuff now that's happening with the show and stuff, my dad's like, I tell everybody all the time, like, this fucking guy won't quit. I love him. He won't ever quit. He's going to get this damn show in the air, and when he does, it's going to be so fucking good. It's going to blow everybody's mind. He's had so much time to work on it now. It's got to be good. It can't suck at this point. He's told me all about it. He told me, it's fucking, I can't wait for you to see it. I'm not even going to tell you because I don't want to ruin it, but I'm telling you, watch the first episode. The opening scene, the fall, it's fucking hilarious. He's like, he takes these really fucked up situations and makes them really awkward so they become really funny. Like, he loves, now he's just like, don't tell me anything else. I just want to watch it. Like, he likes to read it because he says it's written very descriptively, so he sees the show in his head. He's like, I feel like I just watched a show. It's amazing, you know? But he's always like, he always tells me, keep going. You're really funny. You're really talented. From the first time he saw me perform, I invited him because I was like, if anybody's going to be honest, my dad's going to be like, look, I get you're having fun, but you suck. Quit. Instead,
you get yourself a job.
Yeah. He starts hugging me. Whatever it takes. I'll always help you do this. You know? Yeah. He's like, I'll always help you do this. That was amazing. I can't believe. Like, he broke down one time and he's like, I give you a hard time about a lot of shit, but I gotta tell you, you know, you think I'm hard on you, and I gotta tell you, I actually really admire you. The stuff you do, that when you go out and I, you know, like he'd see, you know, our other friend and I go to clubs and stuff and the shit over, he'd be like, I'd never have the balls to do that or wear that or go doing this or doing that. And he jumps on fucking stage and he sings and he doesn't give a shit and he acts and he's like, I wish I had that, you know.
Brian, few people can pull off back with straps.
Yes, few people can get up and steal the mic from PM Dawn at a nightclub in New York City. Our other friend loves to tell that story. So drunk. But anyway, guys, we hope this helped you. Again, ask yourself, what's my story about me and God? What's my story about love? What's my story about me and love? And then what's my story about my person and me? And if it's the same story over and over again, it's time to get rid of it. Even if it's not. If it's your first love, if it's a crush, if you're telling I never get the person I want, you got to say I'm chosen. If you say I'm not worthy of love, I'm worthy. If you say the mother-in-law doesn't like me, say the bitch loves me. Right? And believe it. And you can do it two ways. You can jump and believe, or robotic affirmations. I know they suck. And yes, you're saying them in vain at first, and you might even get a little opposite happen, but keep with it. I know it causes anxiety, but push through it, and then it becomes a belief. The reason you're getting anxiety is because it's working. You're starting to convince yourself, and the old you is like, no, remember.
Things don't work out for me.
Yeah, things don't work. I don't get chosen. Remember, I'm trying to protect you here. Don't be saying you're chosen. You're never chosen. You're going to get hurt. Nope, I'm fucking chosen. And then eventually, like I said, it's like your hype man that finally comes alive. And he's like, yeah, you're Biggie Smalls and your inner talk is Puff Daddy going, I thought I told you we don't stop, right? And he's behind you, you know, skittling and scattling. And he's like, yeah, what, you know? And then keep saying that shit until you're saying it and your inner voice is louder than you. Right? It's behind you when I fucking told you. We don't play. You know? And say that shit till you believe it. Because while you're believing it, you're putting it out there and you're not focused on the bad story. Exactly. So you're already making the new story real.
Because you can't think two thoughts at the same time. Yeah. So if you're not thinking about the bad thought...
And if you can't think about the new story right away, or it's tough, or you need a break because you're struggling, I used to do long division in my head.
That's
because I'm really horrible at math. And the other thing,
so it would take a really long time.
Oh God, it would. And I'd be like, I'm not using that fucking calculator. And it wasn't even complicated math. You know, it was like 1,000 something divided by 7,000. It was ridiculous. Thank God. My wife was a math major because our kid would be so screwed with math if it was just me. My dad was good at that. He could read the book and be like, okay, this is what I think we're going to do. And now the way I see them do math, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm sure.
She gets it. I don't. Yeah. So, but again, if you're like, I would play Madden. I'll be like, I'm going to beat every fucking record. I'm going to put this thing on easy. And I'm going to try to throw 7 to 10 touchdown passes a game for this many seasons, and I'm going to beat Tom Brady's touchdown record on Madden. And I would, even back then, you could create your own team. So I would create these receivers. I would make the biggest fucking linemen, so the little Madden guys would look like little tiny guys, and my guys would be giants. And I'd always make the quarterback me and the linebacker me, and make them like 99 so they could just bust through the line and tackle everybody. And I would pretend that the troubles I had were on offense, and I was the Lawrence Taylor linebacker destroying him, and then my problems were the football, and I would just throw it away, and score on it, and whatever it takes. So either robotically affirm and ignore, or if you can't do that, give yourself a break and go distract yourself. Funny movie, go hang out with your friends, your family, anything. Learn about your parents. I wish I could have more time with my mom to hear more stories of when she was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter wants to hear all of them, and I'm like, I'm out of them, sweetie. I wish I had more. But let me tell you about me, and I try to tell her. My daughter loves the stories. Some of them I wish I hadn't told her right now, but, you know, and I get told that's not age appropriate, and, you know, but distract yourself. And when you're not distracting yourself, be focused. If you don't do that, guys, it's not going to happen. So remember, forgive yourself. What's your story about you and God? What's your story about you? What's your story about you and love and your person? Or money? Or success? Neville says a man is successful while focused on being successful. But the moment he takes his mind off of success, he is that which he is aware of. Meaning he's that which, whatever he's focused on now. A lot of you guys manifest money and then you go right back to it like, well, I know I just manifested $10,000, but like I got lucky. Then you guys are like, well, I want it, but the only way I can see it happening is if somebody dies and I don't want to kill somebody. God doesn't, this is not like the fucking Illuminati. You don't have to sacrifice a relative to get money. You know? I always hear all these people like, you know, they sacrificed it. Kanye sacrificed Donda. Whatever. No.
But yeah, don't let your
get off the fucking
imagination
internet.
be limited like that.
Yeah, you got to think of God as the most loving father, the father from the prodigal son story. You go off and fuck up, you come back and God's like, let me take care of you. Here's the fluffiest bed, the fattest calf, the biggest feast. Let's dance and celebrate. My son is home.
Yeah, if God can allow us to live in this expensive place and all that, God can help you too. So there's lots of opportunity out there.
So remember, focus on that stuff and stay focused. You can only think about one thing at a time.
Yep. If
you're really focused. If you're not focused, your mind's just going to go all over the place. So get focused on that one thing. Right? Scripting is not really a Neville Goddard technique, but a lot of you guys tell me you can't visualize, which I think is crazy because you can give me a really detailed scene about a third part or about all this other shit. And I'm like, you just visualize that. Stop saying you can't visualize. Like I told you guys, I would say I was bad at sats. I sucked at them. I started saying I was good at them and they got easy, but then I was like, I don't like doing them. I don't need to do them. I found out if I did a mental diet all day, and I mean mental diet on everything. No bullshit allowed in my head. No bad stories. I watched what I watched on TV. I got the fuck off of social media. All of that. When I would go to bed, all the things I was affirming all day, I would have a dream where she would say that to me, or I would get to say it, or it played out. Like, some of these dreams were so realistic. They don't mean shit, but so realistic that the entire night I felt like it was done. I remember, I've talked to you about this, I would wake up sometimes and be like, shit, because in the dream I was like, it's not a dream. It really happened. And then I woke up and I was like, fuck. It was a dream. But, like, again, the other thing, too, is have a story. I had a simple thing that I read, you know, the thing about coming home and being pregnant, like a scene that really implied not only everything I wanted, but in a highly emotional way. Because when you think about a bully that beat you up, you can go right back to that place where you're getting your ass kicked. Or the first time you fell in love with your person, if you think about it, you'll get lost in it and feel that love again. So pick a highly emotional scene, 2 minutes tops, write it down, be very descriptive in your writing, but it doesn't mean it has to be 10,000 paragraphs, just something simple. I came home, she was lying on the bed. But a lot of you guys are like, I came home and we cooked our favorite meal and sat on the couch and watched Netflix. There's nothing emotional about that. Mine was like, second baby, reconciliation, everything. Love. I'm the hero of my family.
I mean, unless it's a really good show, in which case we understand.
It's a really good show, yeah. If we're talking like Breaking Bad or something, you know. But yeah, then sit on the couch and be like, we watched the season finale, we hadn't seen it. It's fucking awesome. It's the perfect show, you know. Or say, help me out and be like, we watched Bryguy show tonight. It's fucking awesome.
There we go.
It's on everywhere. So,
yeah.
I mean, look at The Chosen, right? The Chosen, I'm very blessed. The Chosen had to crowdfund their first season to get it made off a little spec trailer they made. Yeah. Then Angel Studios comes along. Now they're so big, they're like, hey, we need a big deal. I mean, it's on Netflix, it's on Prime, it's on everywhere.
So go through the steps. So you're saying write down the scenario, and then what do you do?
Right. So you're going to say, what's my story about me and God? God really doesn't come through for me. I don't know if I believe in God. Is God real? Whatever it is. And be like, all right, well, I'm going to decide he's fucking real. And say to yourself, we've all had times in our life where we really needed to get bailed out, and we did. I don't care who you are. Even if you're a sad sack guy. If he looked at his life, he would see he's been bailed out. I don't know how the fuck he's staying in New York if he's so fucking poor. So something has to be working, right? I mean, we live here. We know when you first move here, it's not easy. No. You take a lot of pride when you get past your first 5 years. When you get to 10 years, you're like, I'm a mate. When you get to 20 years, you're like, not even the fucking plague will kill me. Like, the real New Yorkers, when the pandemic hit, we're like, nah, we're good. We're good. We've suffered rats, pissy streets. Like, nah, we're good. This ain't killing us. You know, I'll stay at home mostly because I don't want to see anybody. It was like a nice excuse that I have to go to work and just watch TV all day and be like, fuck it. We don't even know our neighbors most of the time, you know? So all the apartment people were like, wait, we get to stay home and work on our computer. Fucking A, I'll do it. People were more productive. But ask yourself, what's my story about me and God? What's my story about love? I always get hurt. I'm never chosen. The guys I like don't like me. The girls I like don't like me. I don't have enough money to get a girl. Why? The right girl doesn't need you to be rich.
So after they write down the story about themselves and the emotional scene with like this significant person,
kill it. Write your news story. Be like, God gives me everything. Like I told you, I changed my story from God always makes me think I'm going to get it and kicks my leg. It gives me a consolation prize to know everything I pray for, I get. God always comes through for me. God never fails me. If I pray for it, that shit is as good as done.
Right, but were you saying like having you're telling them how you would have an emotional story of how things are going to be in a positive light with you?
Yes.
And then what do you do with that story? Explain to them what they're supposed to do with the story once they have it.
I would write it down, and I would get attacked first thing in the morning. I would wake up and the anxiety, as soon as I woke up and realized I'm not with her, this didn't really happen, I'd be like, oh, crushing pain in my chest.
Yeah.
So I would wake up and I would not look at my phone. And I either did one or two things. I would grab that book where I wrote it down. I was like, okay, so I come home from work. I go back in the bedroom. They're lying on the bed. She's pregnant. She looks beautiful. My daughter's asleep. My wife tells me, oh, she fell asleep reading a story to her baby brother. I didn't want to wake her up. She's rubbing her hair, touching her belly, and with a tear in her eye says, I love them both so much. Thank you for saving our family. You're our hero. And I would well up even just now saying it, right?
Yeah.
And then it was that emotional to me that years later, I still tell it, and I still tear up every time. Okay? And I promise you, it'll all happen if you do this. Okay? Even like the thing that I was like, there's no way it's going to happen. It's summertime. She'll never show up wearing that sweater that falls off her sleeve, off her shoulder, those jeans that make her ass look great with heels, and that's what she wore. We'll never do 1, 2, 3, we, and we did it. You know? So get rid of the old story, like kill it, squash it. Like I would say, pretend it's those little whack-a-mole things, and you got Thor's hammer, and you're smashing the fucking machine. You got a brick wall in front of you, it's your old story, you have Hulk hands, and you have the strength of the Hulk, and you can't be killed, and you can just destroy it. And get rid of it, but then replace it with something highly emotionally charged, because your bad stories are highly emotionally charged, and it makes you go into that moment and feel like it's happening right now, and you're feeling it real.
So instead, go in and feel the good story real.
Because when you do that, you are doing Neville. You're feeling it real with the bad story.
Yep,
so what you've got to do is feel it real with the right story.
Exactly, because you're already doing Neville probably the wrong way without realizing.
No matter what, you're doing Neville all the time. All the bad shit that happened, all you did was believe, and you manifested it. And think about it. You took a guy or girl that loved you more than anything. You were talking about getting married and having kids. Suddenly they're like, fuck you, and they leave.
Yep, something went off there.
Yeah. Or you were about to get your arranged marriage, and you're like, oh, but the mother-in-law, I can't get past her. I never get past the mother-in-laws. I hear that a lot with the arranged marriages. Tell the new story. The mother welcomes me into the home. She embraces me. My fiance was like, my mom doesn't even hug me like that. Okay? Then say, what is my story about me and God? and be like, you know what? Fuck whatever it is. I'm just going to say God loves me like a father who gets it right. A father who sees no problem with giving me everything I desire. Because he's protecting me anyway. I'm not going to get fucked up if I get everything I want.
And that's why I like the memorial stone stories, because then we have an emotional incident which we can go back to. So that's interesting, because the memorial stones, which I talk about, are like a version of what Brian's talking about, but it's like, okay.
No, it's where I got it from, was you telling me you remember this stuff and remembering it. You'd be
but you were talking about, but you were also
shit.
talking about like a future living in the
end.
Yeah. Yeah,
but seeing it as happening now.
Yeah, and then I was saying, and then the other flip side is that, well, then when we write down our own memorial stones of like how God's love has come through in our life, and then they're emotional from us, that's good, because then we're doing that and we're living out as something we also know happened as well.
Yeah, but you have to really think it through, because what really implied it was she wouldn't be pregnant if we weren't back together.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be lying in the bed that we slept in if we weren't back together.
Exactly.
Our daughter wouldn't be asleep on her bed because she wasn't here.
So it's all emotional and it all
and then on top
implies
of it, she's telling me she loves me, which I wanted to hear, and that I am the hero of our family. And I started to literally affirm that I am a hero to my family.
Yep.
Including, I threw everybody in there, in-laws, everybody. I'm a hero to my family. You know? Because I knew if I came back and they were like, oh, she lost her faith and now she has it, and look at Brian talking about God and Jesus and he saved him, everybody's going to be like, well, shit, he's changed. And I knew the in-laws were super religious, so if I start saying that when before I didn't want to get married in the church, they're going to be like, no, something happened. You know, something happened. And you can't do things to get a reaction. I would do things like go to church at the time I knew her parents were going to be there so they could see me, because I was like, no, go back and tell her he's been at church. Something was... No, can't do that shit. Because all that happens is if nothing happens... Yeah, it's manipulation. If nothing happens, you get pissed, and you're just going to fuck with your head. You can't do anything to get them back. What you have to do is trust in God and only see the new story. Inspired action, I'm not a big fan of. But I am a big fan of if you have to react with them, like in my situation, we had to interact with each other. You throw everything to the side and just be like, what would be the loving thing to do if we were already back together? Because again, you're not trying to convince them you're not angry anymore. I had to convince myself I'm not angry. Because like I could have shown her in a way that I wasn't angry anymore, but deep down I was like, I am fucking angry.
Yep.
All it took was one conversation, like, and fuck that judge, and I'd chop his head off, and I'd throw her fucking, lawyer in a fucking freezer or whatever, So, but you got to get past it. Like, even now, just Anders just give me the cut it off sign, because you can get yourself worked up like that, So you got to just forget it all. Not only forgive, but forget. And it's hard. I know, guys, like just now, I start bringing up one particular thing and I still am angry.
Yeah.
But let it go. Fucking forgive and forget.
Yeah.
It doesn't do you any good, because at the end of the day, what's the most important is seeing the loving faces of your kids in bed at night and closing the door after you sneak in and kiss them. Going to sleep next to the woman of your dreams, knowing like, I am the fucking man. I am the rock of this family. I know that she's a rock too, but like I like being the one that holds it down. See yourself like that. You have to see yourself as the one that is the strong one.
Yeah.
And stop giving yourself a hard time. Like, you have to understand, you're doing something so amazing, right? This person has given up whatever story you told, so tell a new story. Well, I didn't. I'm pretty fucking amazing that even when the shit hit the fan, I believed in us. I went looking for God. I went looking for answers, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I went through heaven and hell for this person. Who the fuck wouldn't want to be with you for that? Right? It's like the movie Kingdom of Heaven. When he loses weight, he's looking for answers. He's like, all he keeps saying is, I can't hear God anymore. He goes to the Wailing Wall. He goes to where Jesus was crucified. And everybody keeps trying to tell him, God didn't stop talking to you, dude. You stopped listening. And you're missing the point, because when the shit hits the fan, his real father shows up, tells him, hey, you think you're a poor blacksmith. By the way, your real dad is the Baron of Ebelin. And I'm sick and dying, so you should come take over my land and my wealth. And then, hey, get on this boat. It's incredibly dangerous. By the way, the boat fucking crashes, and the only thing that survives is you, your friend, and fucking horses for you guys. Then you meet another guy who says you stole his horse, and you do the honorable thing, and then later on, when you get in a big fucking religious war, they don't kill you because they're like, this is an honorable man. And the guy just keeps getting example after example of how God has his back, and he's still complaining, God doesn't hear me. Until the shit really hits the fan, he's like, God save me, and he does. He's facing an army by himself, pretty much. And God's like, Jesus, how much do I have to do? All right, well, one man, and a lot of you guys, myself included, that's what you do. You keep seeing the army you're facing instead of all the blessings that got you to be able to get to that battle.
Yeah. Okay, so you keep seeing the army you're facing instead of all the blessings that enabled you to get to the battle. That's really good, guys. Yeah, write that down. So you keep seeing all... Yep, the army you're facing to the blessings that we get to that.
But you didn't realize you overcame a lot to even get to that battle.
That's great.
So you're gonna win.
And then I want to mention, I was this came up earlier, and then this reminded me of a cool Bible story I saw. It's probably in like Chronicles or something like that. But it's about one of the kings after David, and where there are all these ups and downs, and before they get shipped off to Babylon, and one of these things, God tells Israel, like, oh, yeah, you're being attacked by all these enemies. Like, they're coming for you. And they're like, oh, no, what do we do? What do we do? And so God actually instructs them. And he's like, okay, you come up and all gather up. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to go ahead of you at the front. You're just going to have all these people with, like, musical instruments. And they're just, it's like a victory march. You just, like, march out, like, celebrating like you've already won. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And that's God tells them to do. So go march out and like just be like, yeah. God's so great. He's won. He's like saved us. Like blah blah blah. Even though they know there's enemies out there and they're like really scared, but they go out there and they do it, and then what happens is that the enemy ends up destroying itself, or maybe there's like they get ambushed by like another enemy and they all like fight each other, and then when they show up, and then they're like, where'd the enemy go? And it's like, oh well, they like destroyed themselves. And so I think it's really great because that's how God wants us to go out and face our enemies, is going out with that, like they were like living in the end of victory. Mm-hmm. And so go out and have a victory march.
Yeah, because what they don't understand is you guys are going out living in the end of defeat.
Yeah.
That's why they're not back. That's why the money's not there. That's why you didn't get the job you wanted. That's why you don't have the family you want, the relationships you want, because you were living in the end of defeat. You have to be, because if you weren't, you wouldn't have that. You guys need to realize you are manifesting right now. All the bad shit you manifested by living in the end of it and continuing to tell the story about it. You have to break agreement with the story. I love when Anders talks about that. Break agreement with it. Bind it and throw it away.
Yep.
Tell it, I break free of this. I bind you and I cast you out. Jesus did that. I think in The Chosen, he goes, get away from him. I bind you and throw you. Like literally, this man shows up in the village and he's possessed and he goes to attack one of the disciples, and Jesus is walking back, and immediately, and then he frees him from the demons.
Yeah.
One of the apostles sees it, the zealot sees him earlier, and he tells him, like, it doesn't like your smell. Like, it tells him, I don't like the smell of God. Mm-hmm. Like, you're putrid to me. You're horrible to me. And he's telling him, like, well, yeah, it's because I'm a holy man. He's not afraid of the guy with the demons. And when he shows up and attacks one of the other disciples, Jesus immediately, just like that, can cast it out. And he says something like, the guy begs him, he's like, he goes back and forth between him and the demon voice. He's like, kill me, when he's the regular guy. And he's like, no, I dare not kill you, because your demon will leave your body and either jump in me or jump in the water and possess another. So you're going to have to deal with it. He's like, I'm not taking a chance. But Jesus literally is just like, get the fuck out of here. And he doesn't do anything. He doesn't come back. That's how powerful they are. God is. So look at your old stories as your demons.
Yep.
Ask Jesus to cast them out from you. Trust that God can snap his fingers and send that demon back to hell, which it came from. Because that's really what it is. It's a demon, and it's keeping you in hell.
Exactly. And here's something which might help some people, is that what we're trying to say is that sometimes people think all these stories are like, oh, that's me. Like, I'm an angry person, or I'm a person who's cursed, or things don't work out for me, Or, so you have all these stories that you tell yourself about who you are and who your identity is. But what we're saying, and that Neville Goddard's saying, is like, well, actually, no, you're your imagination. So what you can learn to do is you can learn to, like I was talking about anger. It's like, oh, well, you can notice that you're getting angry and notice that this is happening. But when you notice that, you realize like, oh, the true me is the person who's doing the noticing. And the true me is here in the imagination, and you're observing what's happening to you. So you're observing like, oh yeah, I'm like angry, or I'm sad, or I'm upset. But you don't buy into the agreement that I am a sad person. You can notice like, oh, I'm feeling this at the moment. And so that's what we're saying, is that's where it helps to break agreement, because unfortunately too often people do say that like that's who I am, but then you realize like, no, actually that's not really who I am, and I can allow the positive things to be expressed through me, and that's who I really am.
Yeah, the other thing God showed me is this is rehab. This is rehab. We all have some addiction. Like it's rehab. You are addicted to the pain, you're addicted to the bad stories, you're addicted to the sadness. In fact, trying to tell a new story hurts so much because it makes your whole world crumble because it no longer makes sense. And you're like, how can you expect me to tell that story? Nothing good has ever happened. Yeah, I get it, but you've never told a good story. Look at your life and say, when was it good? What was I thinking? I talk all the time about how when I was young, everybody would tell me, bro, you were the luckiest motherfucker. Not only do things like, you don't even get breaking even. You get like, it still works out. And like my friends used to call me Zach Morris all the time, right? My dad was like, you have a lucky horseshoe up your ass. You take the biggest risks and they pay out huge for you. Somehow you always end up on top. I don't get it. He's like, somebody's like, how can you not believe in God? Like, literally, you are. My mom used to tell me, I almost died when I was little. She would say, whenever my dad would say it, she goes, he's a protected soul. I asked God to watch over him. He survived. He was supposed to die. He lived. I love this movie, Oh God, You Devil. Did you ever see that? Right? The movie, the boy's young and he has a fever and he's about to die and the dad prays over him. It always reminds me of my mom. My mom, when we watched that movie when I was a kid, said, that's what happened to you. You were given a week to live, and I prayed, and so I knew you were going to be healed. My mom had so much belief, but she didn't believe that she was going to be healed. She believed God was going to heal all her friends, everybody, and a lot of them got healed and credit her for it. But I know deep down, I also think she knew what was coming and knew she could do more up there than down here. She knew up there, I would be like, oh, she's all-knowing mom. Down here, I'd be like, oh, that's just mom trying to tell me what to do. So guys, stop telling your bad stories.
Yeah.
Stop manifesting bad shit. You're doing it. If you're going through the shit, you manifested it. You created it. They didn't mean to do it. You gave them a script and said, be a dick to me. Break my heart. Cheat on me. Dump me. Block me. I don't really give a shit about social media. So what do you guys want? You want a text, a phone call, somebody to unblock you, or you want a fucking relationship? Because my people are not getting phone calls and texts. We're getting fucking engagements. We just had another one recently. The girl whose boyfriend said, I'm not even going to think about marriage for 10 years. And her thing was, she wasn't chosen, she wasn't sticking up for herself. I'm going to have her come on and talk to you about it. But her boyfriend literally is like, I'm going away this weekend and I'm going to go with that girl I'm cheating on you with. And I said, call him right now and be like, great, are you picking up your shit before you leave? Because it's not going to be here when you get back. I'm going to put it on the street tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear
she
share all the
details.
details.
That motherfucker came back and he started introducing her to his mom and everything. And I get a text message one day, like a week or two later, I'm engaged. Here's the ring. Beautiful big old rock. She took that dude from cheating and not loving her and disrespecting her and living off of her and her paying all the bills to a contributing, just partner. And his whole, I'm not going to get married for 10 more years or even think about it. And weeks later, they're engaged. And she fought me hard.
But in the right way.
Yeah,
too.
She fought me hard.
Not in a fake engage where it's not going to work out, but he was committed.
God fought her harder, and she was like, she finally broke down and was like, she thought I was a dick. She told you in the story, I almost quit. I thought he was a dick. But it was him not giving up on me, and then God didn't give up on me and made the shit so hard, I finally broke down. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Tell me what to do. I'll listen.
Good.
So, do that. All right, guys, we got to go. It's been 2 hours, and I don't even know.
Yeah, 13 minutes or something
13
wild.
minutes. So, again, follow these steps. We love you. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Sorry we got a little sidetrack there, but I think those stories are still going to help you too.
Yeah, it's good to have concrete examples as well as talking abstractly.
It's really hard when we finally sit down to do these. We can't stop talking. But we do wait till God tells us and gives us a topic. So that's why they're a little, space in between them. And we've been holidays and everything else like that. And then we're waiting for some of these people too to be free because they're out living an amazing life.
Yeah, we're really excited to do some interviews with people and really get into it. And
Got
they can
2 or
tell
3
you
really good
like
ones.
their stories. And so it won't be just, me and Brian rehashing our stories or telling you stories about other people, but that you can hear it from
And they're
direct
going
from
to
the
tell you
horse's
things
mouth.
like, who'd have thought just saying something over and over again until it happened would make it happen? And who'd have thought, that God was real?
Amen.
Who'd have thought he loved me that much? One of the clients was like, I don't know if she'll do an interview. Her journey was really personal, but I'm so proud of her. Like I said, you've seen us talk online and we literally tell each other we love each other. She has said, I turn to God now. I love Neville, but the Bible really has even more answers. So remember that. God's always with you. God loves you. He's trying to be the dad that gives you everything. Stop whining and complaining and open your eyes and see it in front of you because it's there waiting for you. Know that when you return home, it's open arms.
Amen.
All right? So we love you, and we will talk to you guys soon. Until then, start believing.
Amen. Yeah, I'm really excited. Please leave comments, and would love to hear more about your guys' experiences and what you guys have seen in your lives and how this has blessed you. And yeah, it's just really exciting, and we're excited to do some more and get some interviewees on here.
Yeah, if you guys have success stories, share them. We might even pick you to come on the podcast with us and interview.
Absolutely. We'd love that.
And, if God's helping you, look, God doesn't care if you go tell everybody. I tell you guys, when you thank me, I go, don't thank me. You're the one who did the work. God's the same way. But, if he is helping you out, share it.
Yeah, definitely.
Give others hope.
Yes, give others hope. That's what we're saying. So love one another. That includes giving each other hope, and love God. Those are Jesus' commandments, and forgive and forget. And
Tell a new story.
And when you forgive, that's when your prayers are answered, like Jesus said. And so tell that new story. And
Highly emotionally charged.
Absolutely.
Very believable to you. Make yourself get lost in that moment, even if it's for 2 minutes.
Keep telling yourself that story. All
And
right.
then stay in that state by affirming like crazy.
Yep.
If you need to take a break, but don't let the bad shit in.
Yeah, don't take a break to go to the bad stuff. Take a break to go watch a silly movie with Adam
take a
Sandler
break
or
to go watch
whoever makes you laugh.
Yeah, a dumb movie or beat every record on Madden or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that one
Go
little
hit some
kid.
golf balls or whatever it is.
Yeah, golf is great. I had the Modern Warfare kid who kept shooting me and laughing at me, and I was like, I'm going to shoot that little kid in his dick in the game. It took me hours of playing. I'm so disgusted with how much time I played that game, but finally got him, and he was like, respect, old man.
This is finally worth it. All right, love you guys.
So-
Bye-bye.
All right, bye, guys.